Meeting of the Municipal Council to order at 7:04. Please stand and join me in a salute to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Thank you. The reason we are suspending the rules is so that we can follow the same format that we followed Tuesday night's meeting. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, this requires a roll call vote, and we'll begin with Councilor Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Perica?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes of June 4th, 2019.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. At this time, we're going to go into public hearings, and Mr. Withers, would you kindly read the notice of the first public hearing this evening?
Certainly will. The first public hearing tonight is relative to the proposed amendment to the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, Section 10-4.18, permanent speed humps / speed cushions.
Thank you. Chief?
Evening, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. Sorry I didn't get a chance to catch up with you first, that you were first on the docket, so thank you for being here. And
Thank you. It's hard to believe it's gonna be 108 degrees tomorrow, huh, out there today. It's
yeah.
gonna be really interesting.
Air conditioner's working.
Yeah,
Actually, it broke last week. We got it fixed. I didn't have to come to the council, though.
good. But actually, you know what, Chief, on that note, I did send a text to the mayor wondering about the discussions around sort of cooling stations in the city and stuff. So anything you have as the week continues to develop, if you let the council know, we can help share the word on that. I know you work in tandem with the fire department on that, but anything that comes out on that, let us know, and we'll be happy to share that with the community.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Just wanna, I believe I have enough for the entire council. I just want to pass these out if I may.
Absolutely.
What I'm passing out now is just the Claflin Street speed data that we took before and after the implementation of temporary speed humps. I'm before this honorable body to speak in favor of the ordinance for speed humps. Please understand that I support speed humps. There's two things in this world I love as a chief, and that's potholes and speed humps. And they slow vehicles down. So we can all appreciate in our positions that we get numerous phone calls, perhaps on a weekly basis. Some of you represent some very high traffic volume wards, get calls probably on a daily basis. Traffic issues are one of the highest or most prolific quality of life issues that we deal with as government officials. The world's getting larger and larger, the streets are not. The volume of traffic is increasing, and these streets are not designed to handle the higher volumes of traffic. We see that a lot down the Route 1A corridor, the Tona Boulevard area, West Street, South Ave, Lathrop, and Pleasant Street. Those are some of our hotspot traffic accidents, as you may take note when we do our annual traffic accident data that we're required by ordinance to do each year. So please understand that I'm not here to tell you what to do regarding the language of the ordinance. I'm here as in general support of speed humps because they do work. They reduce speeds because, as you very well know, we put police cruisers out with officers to conduct traffic enforcement. The offenders or drivers see the cars, the police cars out there on the side of the road conducting radar, and as soon as the car leaves, the speeds go right back up. So unfortunately, we don't have enough police officers to deploy at every location that we can get complaints at. We try to do the best we can with the resources we have within the parameters we're given. So in the future, I'd like to create a traffic unit. We'd start out with a 3-man unit to deploy to these hotspot areas where we get complaints, high volume traffic, crashes, and what have you. However, tonight, I'd like to speak in favor of the speed humps, and I hope you give it your dual, what was the word I'm looking for? What is it? Peter, of all words. Dual consideration? Is that? No, not dual. Diligence. I just ran to get my glasses, and I don't know if you notice, I'm trying to catch my breath. I have a gym membership, but I don't go, and I keep it just to stimulate the economy. Nevertheless, the speed data that I passed out to the honorable body reflects the data that we put out, that we took, I should say, and collected on Claflin Street last year, almost a little over a year ago, when we first deployed them. May 18th is when we started collecting the data, and you can see the implementation date of the speed humps installed was June, June 2nd. You can see in those 2 colored boxes, that is a 30-mile-an-hour posted street. We collected the data from 1 mile per hour to 100. You can see on Friday, May 18th, the average speeds between 31 and 35 and 36 and 40. And if you go down those colored boxes all the way down to the point where the speed humps were installed on June 2nd, you get a general idea of how fast these vehicles are going, the number of vehicles that are actually using the street on a daily basis, the hour a day. And then after implementation, you'll notice the boxes on the left, the speeds of 1 mile per hour to 30 miles per hour are filled in more, meaning that cars are slowing down. The boxes to the left are more populated than they were prior to the implementation of the speed humps. So they go way down. Ironically, the number of vehicles using the street did not decrease significantly. So they were still trying to avoid that intersection of Holden and North Main. However, after we deployed the speed humps, you can see by the number of vehicles per day that were using Claflin Street did not go down, but the speeds drastically went down. So the evidence does support the fact that they do work. Are they the best solution? No. Is there a best solution? It's arguably, we can debate that. However, we do have a problem in the city with speeding motor vehicles. We do have legitimate complaints from citizens. I think it's our job to effectively address it, and this is one way that I think would work, cost effectively also. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Sure. Councilor Conti?
So, Chief,
Yes, sir.
I think it was Walter Thibodeau that wanted to bring in the speed humps, and at the time we were very concerned. You were very concerned. And I think we bought 2, correct?
We bought, on a grant, we bought 2, arguably 2, because they come in sections, so depending on how you're gonna deploy them, we bought 2 sets.
We bought 2 sets, so we have 4.
No, we have 2, so one set, and they come in pieces. They're interchangeable.
And how much did they cost?
Top of my head, I believe they were approximately $4,000 to $5,000 a piece.
$4,000 or $5,000 each.
Right.
And throughout the city, you probably have your traffic data memorized better than I do. How many sets of speed humps do you think you could deploy effectively?
I know Mortgage Hill would love them. Every street on Mortgage Hill would probably take them there. Roy Ave. We all can, in our wards, in the people that you represent, you probably have the classic cut-through streets off the top of our heads that we can name. But Mortgage Hill certainly comes up. Roy Ave, the areas around some schools.
And so you're thinking all side streets and all cut-through streets done?
No, you'd have to be reasonable.
No. In terms of selection on where one could
That's not up to
appear.
me. That's up to this honorable body. I won't decide.
Oh,
You will decide, not me.
Mrs. Conti's gonna be very happy to hear that.
I don't decide. I don't want to get into the world of politics. That's your job, not mine.
So when we applied for the grant, when we got the speed humps in, and when we created the ordinance, we did not set the criteria or standard for where the speed humps would go.
On the temporary speed humps, yes, that's determined by the chief. These are permanent speed humps, so that the way, I don't want to speak for Councilor Thibodeau, but this was a temporary solution to a problem that would arise, that we could effectively deploy these speed humps to reduce a problem that came up. At that time, a permanent speed hump ordinance was going to be debated later. I think that was, what, 5-6 years ago that we had the temporary one put in?
So thank you for making the outlining the difference between the temporary and the permanent. And I think what I'm reading is that you think we're now at a point where we might be able to put in permanent speed humps on Claflin Street, take out the temporary ones and put them someplace else.
Temporary ones are up. They have to be up before the snow season. So we have to remove those. And it's a process. They take about 4 to 5 hours to put down. So it is a process. It's labor intensive. They're very hard molded plastic, and it takes a while to deploy the temporary ones. So they're not just a quick, easy throw down. They got to be put down by manufacturer specifications.
So the ones you have now are 2 years old?
They're older than that.
I think you're right, they're 4 years old.
4 or
I think
5
they're 4, yeah.
And how they're holding up.
Fine. They're perfect. They're recycled plastic, so they're exactly.
Thank you, Mr.
So-
President.
Thank you. And just for clarity, Council Conti, the requests could come from us to the mayor, and he could decide, but the mayor will send a request to the council to then vote on what we're talking about here, the permanent speed humps. So it's unlike, as the chief said, unlike the temporary, what we have today, that the chief decides, it will be the administration that sends the request to the council to evaluate the need for the speed hump and then vote it, and then a permanent speed hump would go, speed table, you go up, over, down.
Thank you for making that clear, because I think the people at home would appreciate to know what path they need to take. There's a lot of demand for these throughout the city.
Right.
And the permanent steep speed tables would be snow plow resistant.
Yes. The ones like, if anybody's
Thank you.
to Foxborough by those ball fields,
Yep.
I forget the name of the street, but on the way to the stadium. Could I just make one comment?
Absolutely.
The difference between a speed table and a speed hump, so you got a speed bump, which you see in parking lots. A speed bump, hump, table. So a bump is in the parking lot. A hump is for roads that are 30 miles an hour or 31 and less. You could argue 30 miles an hour or less. A table is over 30 miles an hour. So a table is longer. So you're actually going up. I think the height is 6, 7, 8 inches. Almost the entire length of the car can sit on top of the table, then go down the other side. So it's for higher speeds. It's for roads that are probably engineered for 35, 40, 45 miles an hour. The humps are for roads at 30 miles an hour. Your classic neighborhoods, your classic cut-through streets like Mortgage Hill and what have you. So that's the difference, the classifications.
Thank you. Council Kovas and then Vice President Pritchett.
Thanks for coming out, Chief. My question was just about the temporary speed humps on Claflin Street. Was there any data from after you removed those to see if there was any residual effect from the temporary speed humps?
No, there wasn't.
Okay. That was all.
Vice President Precast?
Thank you, President Cooper. Thanks for coming in today, Chief.
Thank you.
As you're aware, this is in front of the Traffic Study Commission for their study and recommendation, and there may be a slight difference of opinion. However, one of the things that we keep getting stuck on, and I'm going to kind of capitalize on you being here, and I know that you're here to speak for the implementation of this, but specific as it pertains to the language that came down for the ordinance. One of the things that we keep getting stuck on is the mileage and the speed because that's very much highlighted. If it's possible, if I may, this is in Councilor Holmes' committee, but it would be helpful, I think, if we could have your impression of definitions, specific definitions for humps, bumps, and tables, and the suggested speed limits for the implementation of humps, bumps, and tables and where they would go. That would be very helpful.
What do you mean suggested?
So, if it's okay. So, according to the ordinance as it was written and submitted to the municipal council, 10-4.18 permanent speed humps, cushions, A, definitions, blah, blah, blah. And then B, it says hump cushions and elevated segments of streets are intended to let vehicles operating at an intended speed of 15 miles per hour to pass upon them with little or no discomfort. And so 15 miles per hour is echoed through this ordinance. So any kind of guidance that you would be able to give us to implement that, because there's going to have to be some changes that come with this as we implement in different parts of the city. It would be required to have humps, bumps, or tables. So I think we need to define those and then make determinations for the speed. But one of the constant question that we have is, at what speed do you go over humps? At what speed do you go over bumps? At what speed should you be able to go over tables? So I think some clarity on that would be very helpful.
My understanding is that the manufacturer specifications for the temporary speed humps and the manual on traffic control devices is a federal document. The guidelines for municipalities and states that there has to be a sign posted, reduce your speed to 50 miles an hour. So if it's a 30-mile-an-hour road, the intent is to actually to have this car slow down, go over it, then they can speed up thereafter.
Okay.
So there has to be a posted sign of 15 miles an hour. Can you go over more than 15 miles an hour? The answer is yes. They're designed not to damage the car if somebody goes over at 20, 25 miles an hour. But the recommended speed to go over it, the reasonable and proper speed would be 15 miles an hour for the humps.
Okay.
Now, the tables are a different story. I'm not advocating for tables.
Okay.
The tables are a different beast. They're over 30 miles an hour. So if we wanted to put a table, say, on County Street, North Main Street, speeds that are 35 or in excess of 35 miles an hour posted. So that's up to this honorable body. If they want to introduce tables, then that's the discussion for the members around this horseshoe. My understanding that this was a speed hump ordinance, not a speed table specifically.
It's speed hump / cushions.
So I get.
Exactly.
So,
so unfortunately that's
washing
where
machine of words right now, right?
Right. Well, but that's the thing is when we're having these discussions,
Right.
We're not. We're all referencing different. We Google different things and everything gets referenced. So that's why I think it would be kind of helpful if we have one particular document that we could all.
May I approach?
Sure.
I'll give this. I can make more copies for.
Please.
This is what I have. So this.
Okay.
Make sure.
That's from a company named Traffic Logic. That's the.
It's one set of all the
One's
different
humps
ones.
and one's table.
So that's from a company called Traffic Logic, and that's where I obtained my information from and my research. As how they define the manufacturer defines what a table and a speed hump. I found that very very helpful because it is an interesting vernacular of language when you come down to these traffic calming devices on what they're called, what they mean, what their intent is. So.
Once you establish the difference between temporary and permanent, and then move on from there, it just makes it a little slightly more challenging.
Right.
But I appreciate that document to help clarify, and I'll share that with the Traffic Study Commission. Thank you.
I'm just writing down what you just said because I sort of like that, what they are, what they do, and how to use them. Right? I think those are sort of three things we have to make sure that it's crystal clear between humps, bumps, and cushions. Right?
Which one's the cushion?
The
Well, I
cushion's
think-
over 35 miles an hour?
Cushions
Cushion,
and table?
in my opinion, a cushion is a speed hump. I mean, speed hump. A cushion is a speed hump. A speed table is an entirely different design and intended use for a traffic calming device.
And I think the other part of that too, this is kind of coming to light and fruition because the recommendation of the Traffic Study Commission in conjunction with the design of Rathbun Willard and layout, they are also, that part of that is that they want to put in the speed whatevers, the traffic calming, the permanent traffic calming elements, we'll
Yes.
say it that, in that location. So I think one of the goals, I think between Councilor Holmes and myself is to make sure that the language is appropriate in this so that it's a.
And I just severed out this information recently as my coming to this this meeting is looking at those documents because we had a meeting about a month ago with Southeastern Mass Serpent, and the gentleman didn't even know what the difference is. So it is confusing. So as the people sit around this horseshoe, even the so-called subject matter experts are getting confused as what the definitions are. But I think those two documents from that manufacturer spell it out very clear and would help the council understand better.
Excellent, thank you. Any other, Council Waterman?
Just a quick one, Chief. Thanks
Sure.
for coming. I was one of those drivers who daily took Clapham Street coming from Pleasant off of there, and I thought it worked great. And I talked to a lot of the neighbors who really appreciated it. My question is, when you switch from the temporary to the permanent, from the humps, is there any difference from the driver's perspective? Or are they the exact same kind of drive?
They'll be very similar. One is a molded plastic, one will be asphalt.
Okay.
The guidelines, there has to be specific paintings and warning signs. So the characteristics of what you're seeing, you remember the yellow arrows going over them, that will be consistent. So there'll be subtle differences on the ride itself. The asphalt may be a little smoother because it's more of a rounded contour at the top versus the molded plastic.
So if anything, you might want to go even slightly slower,
No, you could actually go a little bit faster.
a little bit faster.
Because it'd be a smoother ride over versus a.
Oh, yeah, I get you now.
Just trying to be on. Full disclosure.
Nevertheless.
That's it.
Thank you. Any other questions for the chief? Chief, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak neither for nor against? Anyone neither for nor against? We don't need to keep it open for the Transportation and Traffic Study Commission, so we can close. Anybody?
We do have a meeting August 1st.
Oh,
So
great.
if you wanted to hold it until the first meeting in August, you could do that. So then we're tight.
Do you
but,
wanna do that, and then we can discuss it at the first meeting in August, and if there's any additional questions, we can resolve it and likely vote at the second meeting in August. All right, so we'll, keep that open,
8:20.
8:20.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
perfect. Great, would you kindly read the notice of the next?
Yes, the
Public
next one
hearing.
is a continued public hearing relative to amending revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro, section 9-35 dash dog control provisions, and section 9-35.1 definitions, animal control officer.
Excellent. Derek? Good evening.
I'm here to speak in favor of the amendment of section 935, dog control general provisions. Right now, the provisions applicable of chapter 140 are sections 136A through 174E. Not included in this is section 174F, which is the enforcement of dogs left in a vehicle. Right now, the only one who can write a citation for these would be law enforcement officers. Our dog officers are not authorized to write citations. By making this amendment, they will have that ability, and it would, lessen the burden on law enforcement officers that currently applies right now.
Great. Any questions for Derek at this time from anyone? Yes, Council Holmes.
Thank you. So I had talked to Butch about this, and he had said that he went to, just got some information and went to an annual training that they do, and it was really encouraged. Somebody looked over our ordinance and mentioned that this was a section that had been added to other towns and cities, and they encouraged us to do the same. So I don't know if he communicated that with you, but it
Yes.
seemed like it was something that was coming from.
Right now, if he gets a call for a dog left in a vehicle, he would have to call law enforcement officer over to write the citation. By amending this ordinance, he would be able to write the citation himself, just as he would for a leash law or, any tethering law, anything of that nature. So it just eases the enforcement of the law, which is what we really want here.
Excellent. Any other questions for Derek? Derek, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Anyone else here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone opposed? Anyone neither for nor against? Anybody here neither for nor against? Seeing none. Any reason to keep this public hearing open?
I do not.
Right, this public hearing is closed. And moving right along to,
The next one. Yes, the next one's a public hearing relative to street acceptance pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Marigold Circle length of 610 feet from STA 0+00 to STA 6+10 as a public way.
thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in favor? Anyone in opposition? Anybody in opposition? Anyone neither for nor against? Seeing none, Councilor Cobus, do you see any reason to keep this open? Oh,
Hi, I'm John McCrone. I live on Marigold Circle. I was just wondering if
hold on one second, just your name and address for the record.
John McCrone, 18 Marigold Circle.
Thank you.
I guess I was just wondering if I don't really understand exactly what would change with this this measure. It seems like currently like the road is plowed and maintained already, so I'm just a little confused as to.
So, let me help you, and maybe some of the others in the audience. So, because we're a nice city, before we accept roads, we do things like plow them, collect the trash, deliver the mail, all the things that, quite frankly, we shouldn't be doing. But we allow the developers to build the roads and put houses in there and sell them, and then when it comes time for them to release their bond money, they figure out, or their bond, they come to us, we do an inspection, they do an as-built plan, they submit that to the council, we accept that road, and then that road becomes part of the total mileage for what's called Chapter 90. And that Chapter 90 formula gives us money to do additional road repairs. So that's why we're accepting, I think there's 10 of them tonight, roads that have been completed that can then go on record at the Bristol County Registry of Deeds, and the builder has completed everything that needed to be completed on the road.
Okay, so there won't be any change in the road itself.
No, sir.
Oh, okay, that's all I had.
Perfect, thank you. Anybody else neither for nor against? Mr. Cobus, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
I do not.
You know what, the other thing I should have added, to, and as a comment for all of these before we go to the next one, is that the city planner has signed off, the planning department has signed off on all of these roads as being completed.
Okay.
Thank you. The next
The
public
next one
hearing.
is a public hearing relative to street acceptance pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Cedar Creek Drive, length of 1,310 feet from STA 0+00 to STA 13+10 as a public way.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor?
Is that Jenna Drive, you said?
This is Cedar Creek Drive. Anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone in opposition? Anyone neither for nor against? Seeing none, Council Cobus, do you see any reason to keep this open?
I do not.
That public hearing is also closed. Moving right along.
Okay, number 5 is a public hearing relative to street acceptance pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Joanna Drive, length of 839.47 feet, from STA 0+00 to STA 8+39.47 as a public way.
Perfect. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in favor? This is for Joanna Drive. Anyone in opposition? Anyone in opposition? Anyone neither for nor against? Mr. Cobus, do you see any reason to keep this public
do
hearing
not.
open? Thank you. That one is also closed. Moving right along to the next one.
Okay. Next was a public hearing relative to street acceptance pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Marissa Circle, length of 212 feet, from STA 0+00 to STA 2+12 as a public way.
Great. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak neither for nor against? Anyone here to speak neither for nor against? Seeing none, Mr. Cobus. Oh, Mr. Cobus, any? Great. This public hearing is also closed. Moving on to the next.
Next was the public hearing relative to the acceptance pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Jenna Drive, length of 413 feet from STA 0+00 to STA 4+13 as a public way.
Great. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone not? Oh, come right up, sir.
My name is.
Come right up to the podium.
Yes, my name is Gaston Pouffon. I live at 8 Jenna Drive.
What number? What number?
Number 8 Jenna
8.
Drive. I have a similar question like the previous gentleman. So Jenna Drive is like a nice private drive area, but I'm just wondering if down the line the city is not gonna want to like extend the road through it and make it a throughway or something like that, or it's just gonna stay the same way, the same character.
So what I can't guarantee is that nothing will ever happen to the road. But right now, today, what's there is
Permanent.
there. If something were to happen, extend the road, widen it, do any of that, you would be notified. You'd be
Okay.
notified at that time.
And
but
at
there
that
is no
point,
plan to
we'll
do
have
any of
a
that
choice
with any of
making
these
our
streets.
opinions now. Okay,
Okay.
I just wanted that clarified.
No problem.
Thank you.
This is to accept all these roads as public ways.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone here neither for nor against? Anybody here neither for nor against? Mr. Cobus, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing? That public hearing is also closed.
The next one is a public hearing relative to street acceptance pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Austin Drive, length of 400 feet from STA 0+00 to STA 4+00 as a public way.
Great. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in favor? Anyone in opposition? Anybody here to speak in opposition? Anybody here neither for nor against? Anybody neither for nor against? Councilor Cobus?
do not.
Thank you. This public hearing is also closed.
Okay. Next one's a public hearing relative to street acceptance pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out a portion of St. John Street, length of 228.58 feet from STA 1+15 to STA 3+43.58 as a public way.
Great. Anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anybody speak neither for nor against? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Cobus, any reason to keep this open? That public hearing is also closed. Moving on.
Okay, the next was a public hearing relative to street acceptance pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out a portion of Woodside Avenue, length of 352.92 feet from STA 0+20 to STA 3+72.92 as a public way.
Great. Anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone neither for nor against?
Hi, my name is Cassidy Marino. I live at 22 Woodside Avenue. I just had a further question about the extension of the road possibility, which I know could come up later. We have a lot that's right currently my house is the last house on the street at a dead end, and there is a lot next door to mine for sale right now. And if I look at the plan maps from when the neighborhood was first developed, it shows the road going further than it goes now. So my first question is, since there's not a road there right now, but there's still land there, is that considered to be property that the city will have to maintain if that's now a public way, in terms of like the trees there, because it's not technically on my property and it's not technically the person in front of me. It was supposed to be a road, but it is not.
So again, it's not today, but there's no guarantee that it won't be. And this gives specific stations in which the city is accepting today as a public way. If we vote these after the public hearing's closed, but there's no guarantee that road won't continue if there's available land there, or if this was a phased, I don't remember this one, I was on the planning board before here, I don't remember this particular subdivision. It might have been after my time, but if there's still opportunity to build back there, they may.
Okay.
Councilor Blair.
Maybe, if you don't mind.
Sure.
If that lot is for sale, I believe, Mark, if that lot gets sold, the builder would have to bring the road in, and he'd have to go through
Well, it depends. I don't have the plan right in front of me, but if the road might go by that lot right now, I don't know how far beyond it goes without looking at the plan. It might be an approved lot of the subdivision. What I will tell you is if they mess up the road, say unloading the excavator to dig that's on the person that put it in the city. I've seen examples where the city has recouped money from the person that like chewed up the road with the machine when they were doing, say, like the last house in the subdivision.
Okay. Yeah, my question was more just around, like, if a tree that's right now where that planned road is fell on my house, whose responsibility is that?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to pretend to be, so I don't know.
Okay, I just didn't know if it gets overgrown, if I should call the city or take care of it myself.
Depends on if it's in the right of way. It might be on private property.
Okay.
I can't answer that.
All right, thank you.
No problem. Anyone else to speak neither for nor against? Great. See any reason? Thank you. This public hearing is also closed.
Okay, the next one is a public hearing relative to street acceptance pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Landers Road, length of 396.89 feet from STA 0 plus 00 to STA 3 plus 96.89 as a public way.
Great. Anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone neither for nor against? Seeing none, Mr. Cobus, do you see any reason? Thank you. This public hearing is also closed.
And finally, we have a public hearing relative to street acceptance pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Tenant Circle, length of 202.16 feet from STA 0 plus 00 to STA 2 plus 02.16 as a public way.
Great. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone neither for nor against? Council Cobus, do you see any reason to keep this open? Thank you. This public hearing is also closed. And at this time, I'd entertain a motion to enter recess. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. We are recessed at 7:43. Huh?
I'm really sad that my street wasn't on that list. It's only been 9 years. I didn't have. I'm gonna go.
Okay.
We're in recess, actually.
I gotta stay for you.
I guess. I think we're gonna go right into.
So will I.
Can you just get my. DPU-TNC account. That's the account that we get, that we tax like Uber drivers. And there's not a lot of money in it. It's not like Boston. Boston has like millions of dollars in that account. But our little city, you know, we have a very minimal amount. It's almost depleted. So that's where that $4,600 is coming from. But it does need improvement. It's going to benefit students walking to school, you know, because it's around that area, and I'm sure Councilor Reynolds is happy to hear that. I mean, because we all want sidewalks everywhere, but we can't put them everywhere, you know. We're limited. We have to have the money to be able to do that, and so that's where that's all coming from. Please, Councilor Pert.
Councilor Jackson, thank you for that update on the funding sources and things like that, and I couldn't be happier that these, similar to, I'm sure, to Councilor Reynolds, as the traffic and transportation chair, I get calls about this all the time, and as the former bus driver in that area, like, those are the things that I would see. So I, when this came in, the mayor's communication on Tuesday, I literally, like, sighed, and I felt relief that this was taking place, so great job to the DPW, and thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you ever so kindly. From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request from National Grid and Verizon for the installation of a joint pole and anchor, pole number 2, for a new home at 11 Calvin Street.
Second.
Thank you. We did have that public hearing Tuesday night, and no one spoke against it. We did have a representative from National Grid, and welcome to the new homeowners at 11 Calvin Street. Enjoy your electricity. Any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request from National Grid and Verizon for the installation of a joint pole and anchor located 75 north of existing pole 3325 on Rathbun Willow Drive for the sewer pump station at the new Attleboro High School.
Second.
Thank you. Obviously, they need this for their project, and again, we did have the public hearing on Tuesday evening, and no one spoke against it. I didn't expect they would. So, any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That is the end of my motions, but I do just want to mention to the residents on Wilmar Street, hooray! It looks so good because it just got paved. It's just the initial pavement, like they still have to do a final seal. They do have lines in there right now, but that's basically for nighttime driving, protection and things. The only thing that concerns me is it is so good right now. It's just smooth, it's beautiful. Just the residents of that area, keep an eye, talk to your kids, because we don't want, like we just heard about speed humps. Talk to your kids, slow down, don't go flying down Wilmar Street. Let's just keep it really nice. I hope we never get any water main breaks. Because it does look so good. I mean, after they milled the road, that was better than what the road was. The condition that road was in was horrific. So I'm very, very happy to see that DPW. And it's nice that they, you know, they work really hard. They go in the trenches. It's hotter than, it's hot. And I'm very pleased with how that's come out. So I just wanted to mention that. But I'd like to call for an adjournment for Public Works Committee at 7:50.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:50. Thank you.
I would like to call the Personnel and Human Services Committee at 7:51. Okay. And from the docket of July 18th, 2019, I would entertain a motion regarding the grant from the National Endowment for the Arts awarded to the Attleboro Public Library for the community-wide Big Read program for approximately $15,000, and to approve the expenditure of such funds and any other further grant amendments received by the Public Library in accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro. Details of this program will be announced to the public in August. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. I went over to the library yesterday and spoke to Christine Johnson, our director, and she sent me an email today regarding this program. It's very interesting. So I'll just read her short paragraph. The Attleboro Public Library and our community partners invite you to come aboard the NEA Big Read as we explore the themes and the history behind Nathaniel Philbrick's award-winning In the Heart of the Sea, The Tragedy of the Whale Ship Essex, which, if you never saw it, there's a wonderful movie about the Essex. Highlights of this year's planned program includes Enormity, a 3D installation at the Attleboro Museum of Arts, a lecture on the history of whaling in Nantucket by James Russell, the Executive Director of the Nantucket Historical Society and Museum, a visit by the author, and our traditional themed finale dinner prepared by the students of the high school culinary arts program. And they're going to hold much of this program down in the park right near the library. The children will be fully involved. Are there any other questions? Okay. So, if there's no questions, I would like to ask all in favor to vote.
Aye.
Aye. The vote passes. And we'll move on to the next motion. I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor to confirm the appointment of Douglas Green, 3 Commonwealth Avenue, TH2, to fill an expired term on the Cultural Council, term to expire February 2022.
Second.
Thank you. I would like to just read very briefly. Doug wrote a letter. I tried to reach him. His phone isn't operating at the moment, so I couldn't reach him today. I've been involved in the arts community for over 40 years, and I can vouch for that because he played Marley and I played Scrooge at the Attleboro. Second time they ever did it over there in the mid-90s. And he was getting on then. So he's still a member of the Attleboro Community Theater. I have skills in the area of photography, video production, which I think might be beneficial to the social media outreach page of the Cultural Council. And I look forward to helping both establish and new artists bring to fruition projects that may help culturally enrich the great Attleboro area. Do we have any questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Waterman. Doug will be a great addition to the Cultural Council. I've known Doug for several years.
He won't be quiet either.
He won't be quiet. I was just going to say, but that's what you need on some of these committees. Someone who's going to bring in some fresh ideas, and Doug will definitely do that. So he does the lighting currently at Attleboro Community Theater. He also does the lighting for all the New England Patriots home games. He's an artist. I mean, this guy, he can do it all. So he's going to bring a lot of value to this committee. So happy that he put his name in.
Very well said. I concur with everything you said. Any other questions?
I can see you as Scrooge.
You can, huh?
Yes, I bet you make a great Scrooge.
Well, I've done Scrooge and Marley, but Doug did the scariest Marley you can ever imagine.
I'm sure he did.
You won't get on stage now, though. You just won't. I wish you would. So, if there's no other questions, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the vote passes. I say aye, too. So, I call for an adjournment at 7:56.
Second.
Thank you. And that concludes the business of the Personnel and Human Services Committee. We shall meet next appropriate time in August. Maybe.
So I'd like to call the Capital Improvement City Development Committee to order at 7:56. I do have to read the loan orders, and we do have to take a vote on the public hearing, but before that, I want to inform you that I have set a meeting at the Water Department for not this Friday, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow at 2 o'clock. It's a public meeting, so that if you're able to attend at 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon, I'm meeting Courtney or her staff member at the Water Department to review the plans for Roy Avenue, and then going to Roy Avenue to see. There's not a lot to see, but I just need to see what this is all about, and to get much more clarification on the contingency, which is as big as the construction cost on that project.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna tear that all apart next Friday at 2 o'clock, and anyone in Attleboro is invited because it's a public meeting, including all councilors and committee members. The second announcement I want to make to you is I have scheduled a meeting with Madeline McNeely tomorrow at 2 o'clock, which unfortunately you cannot attend because I didn't have enough time to post that as a public meeting. But what we are to discuss is the elderly needs assessment funding, of which I have some issues. And so I need to discuss that with you tonight before I meet with her tomorrow. And I want to tell you what my attitude is, what my feelings are, and then I want to hear what you have to say if you have anything that you wish to say. I hope you have read the multi-page memo that was included with the mayor's communication that came to us 2 days ago. In it, Madeline McNeely is outlining why she wants to spend $35,000 for an elderly needs assessment funding. My opinion is that, number one, $35,000 is an awful lot of money. Number two, I think that Madeline McNeely knows the senior population extremely well. She has her fingers right on top of what's going on in the senior center and what senior attitudes are, and that she could probably predict the focus group results before they even took place. The third thing is that the census data that's mentioned in this report is public, and anyone can mine the data from that census report, and so I don't see why we would want to pay some college students to do that for us. Number four, the city can do a survey of its seniors very economically with tax bills, and I don't see that we need an outside source to do a city survey. And additionally, finally, number five, I think I'd like to see the $35,000 spent on the bricks and mortar of the senior center rather than doing a feasibility study that I believe can be written by Madeline McNeely. So that's going to be the subject of my meeting with her tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And I'm going to try to encourage her to put together the semblance of such a plan that we would expect as a result of spending the $35,000. But I have to say I have a poor taste of spending money for funding these surveys after reading the library survey, and I don't want to get off the track. But it's very important that the scope of work be defined extremely tightly before these projects are taking place. And I think that in this case, it may not be so well warranted. Do you have any comments, Mr. Waterman?
Well, I do understand after what happened at the library why you feel that way. I know this was very important to Madeline, but not only Madeline, to the board, of the Council of Aging, to go through this study. I'm not sure I would want it all to fall on Madeline. I would like to see, if we go that route, I would like to see the Council on Aging, the board, share in that study. And they might draw other people into that study too. Because we're expecting that 28%, and I think this is conservative, 28% of the city will be of age to be a senior, which is 60, by the year 2030. It's a very significant part of our future. And so I know Madeline is looking at what will life be like, not only by 2030 for seniors, and what will we have. And we know, I think we can almost guarantee that our building won't probably last that long. So a space is also going to be a big part of this, in my opinion. Madeline keeps saying, I won't be there forever. And, well, I guess we can't guarantee that. So that's a big part of our future too. So I wish I could join in it, but since it's not posted, I can't. I think we need, if we go the route that you're suggesting, we need to widen the scope beyond Madeline, because this isn't got to be just Madeline's thoughts.
You mean the scope of opinion?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
Thank
for
you.
now.
I really appreciate your comments because I'll bring them into my meeting tomorrow. Councilor Dolan.
So I understand, like, wanting to know what to expect
the results of this, if we're going to spend this money. I definitely feel concerned about putting this work on even the Council on Aging, Madeline, I don't know. I understand the money, and I think that, we should know what to expect from the results, so that we're not disappointed, but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like Madeline just, I can only assume she's at capacity with her, what everything that she does. I would need to speak with her or hear whatever her plans are or whatever, but I think the data is needed. So I don't know. I need more information. I need to see how everybody else feels about it, especially Madeline and the Council on Aging. That's all I have to say.
Is that it?
Yes.
Councilor Perkin.
Thank you, Councilor Conti. I understand your concerns with the $35,000. I actually did speak with Madeline today regarding another topic. But what I can identify in what's happening over at the senior center is that their heads are so buried at the moment doing the every single day tasks of managing the population that we have right now, managing the building, managing all of the things that she comes here and, you know, when she comes in front of us, she's going to take the opportunity to explain to us, in depth and in detail what the responsibilities of the job are. There is no guarantee that she's going to be here forever. Having an independent study run by UMass Boston reduces the price of us. I mean, we're already at about $100,000 for the library one. We certainly didn't get a proposal for the consulting services that we have sitting in front of us from UMass Boston that we got from the library. So we have they have set the expectation for the information that we need to have, and this sets the playbook for us as a municipal council, for us as a community, and for the senior center moving forward for years to come. I think that the volume of information that they'll be reviewing, analyzing and discussing is literally, the staff is so small over at the Council on Aging, and having the expectation that they would be able to manage this, and not that they're not professional, but in this is what their focus is. They're adjuncts. This is what they're trained to do, especially in this particular area, seniors and aging. And I think yeah, there's always a way to spend $35,000, but this one will pay for itself moving forward as we have to continue to develop ways to manage our aging population. And Madeline wouldn't put something like this forward if Madeline didn't believe it was something that was incredibly necessary. I have that faith and trust in her, and so I will support this 100% all the way through.
Councilor Delisle.
Thank you. If I could build upon the points made by Council Waterman and Parika. Madeline, I had the opportunity to spend some time with her on Tuesday, and there's a lot going on over there. There's a lot going on. Heather touched upon the staffing. She's very short-staffed over there, as every department is. But if we're going to do something like this, I think it needs to be done the right way. And I think Madeline, and we've all been in Madeline's office, and that phone rings, and she's pulled in this direction, or someone's coming up, pulled in that direction. I think this is something that will help Madeline figure out what direction we need to go, because as Council Waterman said, we're looking at a growing population in that age group, and services are changing, their needs are changing. People are living longer, more active, and more, what's the word I'm looking, but more active lives, right? So she won't have the time to do it and do it right. And my fear is if we're putting this on her and her board, something critical could get missed in this. So I think if by bringing out someone with fresh eyes, and let's be honest, no one can do a survey or an assessment like the government can, right? We get reports for reports and analysis for analysis. But I think this is something that we need as we move forward. And Rick, I agree. I mean, I would love to see $35,000 go into the building, or go to hire some help for Madeline, because they desperately need it. The other thing that hopefully this will look at too is so much of what they do is paid for by grants, especially the Shine grant. And we all sit here every single year hoping that money comes in, because there's no guarantee it's coming in. So I think this is a good opportunity for Madeline to sit back and let somebody look at her and say, hey, You guys are killing it here. Here's where I think you have some opportunity to really increase the services. So I think this is, I don't want to say short money because it's $35,000, but I think it's money that, as Vice President Parika said, will pay for itself in a short amount of time.
So the focus of what you had to say was that without the study, something might be missed. And you touched upon staffing. Why do you think Madeline has not asked for another staff person for $35,000?
Well, I'll let you ask her that.
All right, I will.
Okay.
I will.
My understanding is she has asked, but that's not my place to intervene. But she has certainly asked, time and time again, and again,
Councilor Cooper, you all set?
and again.
Councilor Cooper.
So I want to say that I think it's, we all probably know that Madeline has repeatedly sat before this council, and at any opportunity that we go in, has shared with all of us from time to time, and every time, quite frankly, that the support that she has is, the staff that she has is excellent, and they do great work, but that she needs more of it, and she got more of it this past budget season. But I think that she's because she was at a critical point in missing opportunity to help individuals that the staff, especially the outreach workers, shine workers, that are helping people every single day sort through the healthcare and health insurance problems, and what do I pick? Do I pick A, B? Do I have Medicare A and B? Do I need C? Do I have D? Sorting all that out is a nightmare. And so she has asked, in fairness to her, I have to sort of say, she has made it, at least to me, I'll only speak for myself, but I see everybody else shaking their head every time she's come before this honorable body to do her budget presentations. She has mentioned that staffing is a concern for her. So I think, she's sort of reprioritizing what she's asking for in this particular situation. Thank you.
Yes, Councilor.
Should I just add to that? We did give additional help for the staffing in this budget, without a doubt. But the other thing to keep in mind too, she's tragically lost one of her office workers too. So, there's a lot that goes into it, but meeting with her in her office, if you ask her the question, she'll explain it all to you, Rick.
Yes, Don.
And just one more quick thing to add to everything is that I share your concerns about the survey that was done at the library, spending all of that money and the results that we received. And when I hear the word consultants or whatnot, I get concerned. But I do think there's value in having an independent third party that's supposedly sort of the resident experts and is looking at communities across the state to then look at Attleboro and compare it and suggest best practices that have worked in other communities and whatnot, and bring that information to us. With Madeline providing also reviewing that and saying, yes, this is good or bad, or I don't think we're guaranteed to get a quality report back. I don't think we're guaranteed to get a quality report back, but I do think it's worthwhile for us to take a shot and try to get that information, especially because it's so important. That concludes my comments.
Councilor Reynolds.
So, Councilor Conti, I would, honestly, I think that $35,000 could be better spent by hiring someone that could work there a whole year, do this, and do other things around the Council on Aging. To me, you can get somebody in the social service field for $35,000 a year that will actually do some of this kind of work, especially someone coming right out of college that knows all the ins and outs of this kind of research. So I'd like you to propose that question to Madeline, if that's a possibility, because she'd get more for her buck, or we would get more for the buck. I think that it's can happen. When I worked for the Mass Department of Public Health, I used a lot of young people in college that could do all these things for, their thesis. They did it to get extra credit, and they did remarkable work. They'd be clamoring for this kind of work, and that's what I think would be better use of the money. as well as the side of the building.
Thank you, Councilor Reynolds. Councilor Holmes.
Oh, thank you. My hand's asleep. It's been up for so long. I agree with that. I think that we could hire somebody for $35,000. That is a good salary for somebody out of social work school that has a research background. I also am wondering about the 2020 census and how that plays into this, because we're talking about them looking at data that is from what year, I guess? Do you have any information?
2017.
She's, her plan that she gave us with the University of Mass Boston said that the study is going to be completed by the spring of 2020, which will not include the new census.
So this doesn't make sense to me. We're so close to getting the 2020 census.
I know.
If we're gonna get the most up-to-date information, we should be waiting.
I know, and the information 10 years out from the last survey is the least reliable.
So I think that we have to get some more information about that.
Maybe waiting 1 year is a good idea.
And I know that they're short-staffed, and they recently lost a social worker who had passed away, and there's some staff turnover, but no doubt there's a need, but I'm not sure if this is the right way to use this money.
Good input. Anything else? Yes.
So, that's an interesting proposal. I wonder what Madeline would think if she knew that there was $35,000 could be used in an alternative way. I would like to hear what her response might be.
Well, we don't know that there's $35 that's available to be used in an alternative way. It would be another proposal just like the one we have. So
Okay.
it would have to be given with equal weight against everything else that we're being considered. But, Madeline has the great advantage that sometime between tomorrow morning when she goes to work and the time that we meet, she can review all this conversation and be armed for bear when she meets with me at 2:00. Councilor Jackson, did you have something you wanted to contribute?
Yes, thank you. First of all, I'm shocked that 28% of the city of Attleboro is going to be 60 and over. And you know what shocks me even more? I'm one of them. I'm going to be one of them. I'm not yet. But that's huge. That's a huge number. 28%, 60 and over. Yeah. That's tough, because you're right, as everybody here knows that they do get a lot of inquiries, and they have to help many people now. So I can't imagine 2 years from now it's going to be worse. Who knows? Maybe I'll have to go with questions, because I don't know how to age gracefully. But I do agree. When I heard you say that, 35,000, I was actually going to say, is there any school that offers an internship? Because people are always looking to do internships, and this sounds like that would be something like that, and a lot of them do it for free. But yes, to hire someone for $35,000 as a temporary position, we don't have to pay them health insurance and everything else. It could be even less. Who knows? But yeah, I'm very interested. I'd be very interested to hear what she has to say about something like that.
So to answer your question, Wheaton College has an internship program whereby their students are paid by Wheaton College to intern for 15 weeks with departments. I'm working on my second year with my second intern from Wheaton College in the assessing department in Taunton, and it's worked out extremely well. So it's a very, very good comment. Are you all set?
I am, thank you.
Councilor Delizio.
I just want to caution, I know it's not my committee, so please.
But your input is well regarded.
I appreciate it. We just have to be careful, because what's in front of us is what we can work off of. We can certainly make those suggestions, but if we were to, go any other avenue, we would then have to either strike this and then it would have to come down from the administration. Again, no guarantee that it would come down in that form either. So just want to temper expectations a bit.
Good. We're all set? Good, we'll move on. You didn't have anything to contribute? Okay. Don't want to leave anybody out. So, we need to read into the committee minutes the loan authorization, so bear with me. We'll get through this as fast as we can. But we need to take a vote. The three of us must vote tonight. From the docket of July 18th, 2019, I request a public hearing be called for August 20th, 2019, to address the following loan request for the Steer Street water main repair. So, all in favor of a public hearing to be called for August 20th, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Passes unanimously. We will have a public hearing on the following loan order on August 20th, 2019. From the docket of July 18, 2019, in furtherance of the Water Department's fiscal 20-2024 capital improvement program, 3-cycle municipal water system plan annual distribution system rehabilitation program, part 3, my administration is moving forward with a capital project to replace approximately 5,200 linear feet of water main on Steer Street. This project is explained in greater detail in the memorandum from Superintendent of Water, Courtney Winchell. As shown below, a loan authorization of $1.7 million rounded is now needed for the project. 5,200 linear feet of water main replacement construction is $1,100,000. Road restoration construction is $250,000. Total construction estimate is $1,350,000. The design, building, and oversight, $195,000. Advertising, $1,000. Contingency, $110,000. Total project cost, $1,656,000. If after bids, all bids are received and verified, the loan amount is greater than the actual cost, then I will be requesting that the loan amount be reduced appropriately. Ordered that $1,700,000 is appropriated for the permitting, bidding, construction, oversight, and construction costs associated with the replacement of approximately 5,200 linear feet of water mains, including the road restoration on Steer Street, Attleboro, Massachusetts. Collectively, the project, including the payment of all costs incidental or related thereunto, that may meet this appropriation. The treasurer, with the approval of the mayor, is authorized to borrow $1,700,000 under Chapter 29C of the general laws and or Section 8.5 of Chapter 44 of the general laws or any other enabling authority. That the mayor is authorized to take any other action necessary or convenient to carry out this project. Any premium received by the city upon the sale of any bonds, notes approved by this order, less any such premium applied to the payment of the cost issuance of such bonds or notes, may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this order in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a like amount. Furtherance of the Water Department's fiscal 2020-2024 capital improvement program, 3-cycle municipal water system plan and annual distribution system rehabilitation program, part 3. My administration is moving forward with a capital project to replace approximately 5,200 linear feet of water main on Steer Street. The project explained in greater detail in the memorandum of Superintendent of Water, Courtney Winchell. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Do you want
Motion.
a second, or?
Oh, second, yes, that's good. Second's
Well,
always
that would
good.
help.
I'll do the second, and I'll do the aye, too.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan.
And I have an aye.
And I take it you also seconded the vote for the public hearing?
Yes. Well, one of us did.
Right. From the docket of July 18th, 2019, which we are holding for August 20th for a public hearing, as you may recall, on February 19th, 2019, the mayor sent your honorable body a loan authorization request of $2,700,000 for 8,800 linear feet of water mains on Reed Street. This loan authorization was approved on April 16, 2019, and again on June 4, 2019, and the central component of the Reed Street water main project was that the city's ability to utilize the water main on Roy Avenue near Hill Roberts Elementary School for water looping purposes during construction. At some point after the loan authorization was sent to your honorable body and during the design phase of the project, it was discovered that the Roy Avenue water main was leaking in an area where it crosses on the 7 Mile River. Looping the Roy Avenue water main into the Reed Street project without repairing the leak will cause insufficient water pressure, i.e. fire protection near a school, which is unacceptable. Insertion valves have been installed to temporarily shut down the leak, but it must be permanently repaired to complete the Roy Avenue loop before the Reed Street water main project can be begun. The city's engineers on this project, Tada Howard, have provided the following proposed budget to repair the Roy Avenue water main. The design cost is $36,800, construction administration $19,900, the resident project representation $21,900, includes sub-consultant fees for survey, wetlands delineation, and soil boring exploration. The construction is $230,000, which includes mobilization, erosion controls, excavation, directional drilling, connection to existing water main, backfill, and paving. The contingency is $191,400. I'll have more to say about that in a minute, for a total of $500,000. To ensure that the repairs to the Roy Avenue water main are completed prior to the Reed Street project beginning in the spring of 2020, it's necessary to have the access to the loan authorization funds immediately following your honorable body's anticipated approval, i.e. on or before August 22nd, 2019. However, a provision in the city's charter, 2-9A, would require that the city wait an additional 30 days following the vote to have access to these funds, which would only cause further water leakage, jeopardizing adequate water pressure near the school and ultimately delay the much-needed water main repairs on Reed Street. To cure this problem, I am further requesting your honorable body vote to treat this loan authorization as an emergency measure pursuant to section 2-9B of the city's charter. Therefore, the mayor hereby requests the honorable body to refer this matter to the planning board, call for a public hearing August 20th, 2019, and approve the following measures at your August 22nd, 2019 meeting, which I believe we did in the last meeting, but we'll do it again. All in favor? Oh, second?
So, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Before? Just clarify, so are we seconding all this? Like, if we're just reading this into the record, is that what we do? If we just, so I have to second it if we're just reading it, because we haven't had the public hearing, so we're not.
This motion is to have a public hearing on August 20th, 2019 out of the committee to the council.
Okay, second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Emergency preamble, that the Attleboro Municipal Council hereby declares that an emergency presently exists relative to the need to repair the water main leak off of Roy Avenue, and that any delay of the authorization of an appropriation of funds to repair such leak will only jeopardize adequate water pressure near a school and delay the much-needed water main repairs on Reed Street. And therefore, hereby votes pursuant to the city charter section 2-9B that an appropriation and load order for these repairs in the amount of $500,000 be voted as an emergency measure. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Waterman.
So the
As an emergency measure, Council Cooper?
point of order, Conti, the emergency preamble will come after the public hearing so that we can vote it.
So we don't
need that tonight. What we needed was what your previous motion.
Then I
I'm
don't-
sorry, this was
Then
included.
I don't need to read the loan order for the $500,000 either.
If you want to read it into the record, you can, but you don't need to vote it tonight. So you've
Okay.
read, the beauty is you've read all this into the
Yes.
record. You won't have to do it when it comes before your committee
Wonderful.
on the 20th.
Let me then just finish and we can be done with this.
Perfecto.
Ordered that $500,000 is appropriated for the permitting, bidding, construction oversight, and construction costs associated with the repair of a water main leak off Roy Avenue, Attleboro, Massachusetts. Collectively called the project, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the mayor, is authorized to borrow $500,000 under Chapter 29C of the general laws and/or Section 8.5 of Chapter 44 of the general laws, or any other enabling authority, that the mayor is authorized to take any other action necessary or convenient to carry out this project. Any premium received by the city upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this order, less any such premium applied to the payment or cost of issuance of such bonds or notes may be applied to the payment or costs approved of this order in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a like amount. Further, the Attleboro Municipal Council hereby approves the loan authorization as an emergency measure pursuant to Section 2-9B of the Attleboro City Charter. That completes the business that I have. Whoops, yes, Councilor Cooper.
I just want to, I apologize, I wasn't here for the beginning of your committee, but I want to make sure that
We did
follow
vote.
up with the water water superintendent, that she'll be here on the, or someone from the administration will be here on the 20th to talk about the public hearing for Steer Street, and then the public hearing that's required for the additional 500,000, because there's two things here.
When I meet with Courtney next Friday at 2 o'clock, I'll make sure to bring that in.
Thank you. I mean, she's aware, she was here last week, but just as a reminder.
Okay.
Thank you. She was
So-
here Tuesday thinking she needed to be for this, but just as a reminder, it's the
It's
20th.
next month, right?
Thank you.
So, committee members, that completes the business that I have to bring before you this evening. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. Motion's in order, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I declare the Capital Improvements Development Committee adjourned at 8:26. Thank you for your contributions.
Call the Zoning and Land Use Committee to order at 8:26. One of my committee is myself, Councilor Holmes, and Councilor Delicio. First item from the docket of July 18th, 2019. I entertain a motion to approve the expenditure of the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness MVP grant of approximately $32,000 received by the Planning Department and approve any further grant amendments. The requisite local match will be provided in the form of in-kind services by city staff.
Second.
Motion's in order. This was actually fairly timely with the heat coming this weekend. The Municipality Vulnerability Preparedness Grants, it has two different types of grants. There's a planning grant and an action grant. This is for the planning grant to develop a plan for Attleboro to assess the city for how we can deal with climate change and extreme storms and all of those things. So this will be city personnel working with a consultant to evaluate the potential impact and risks to the city as a result of climate change, and then to look for anything that we can do to try to improve this. It's fairly similar to the stretch codes and the green community thing, in that once we become an MVP city, we can, and we've developed this plan, we can then request grant money to go through some of these things, and those would be the action grants to act on the plan that we develop. It doesn't require any spending from the city. The $32,000 is coming from the state. It will require some time from city employees to go through and prepare the plan, but that's about it. So, any questions on that?
It's more of a comment. I think this grant is unique in the sense that the match component of it isn't funds. A lot of time we'll have a matching aspect of it, which is funds. In this case, the requisite local match is the in-kind services. So I think this is the type of thing we need to be looking for, especially given the financial situation and the economic landscape that we're in, really nationwide. So this is great.
Great. Any other comments? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Opposed? Motion passes. All right. From the docket of July 18th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the following resolution. A resolution of the Attleboro Municipal Council to suggest the administration conduct a retrospective analysis of a gas leak on Torrey Street. Whereas on April 27, 2019, a car accident at 124 Emery Street helped officials detect a natural gas leak in the vicinity of Emery Street and Torrey Street, resulting in houses being evacuated. And whereas Columbia Gas discovered and fixed a grade 1 leak on Torrey Street, which was venting natural gas from the street into the evacuated houses. And whereas on April 22nd, 2019, days before the natural gas leak was detected, the Attleboro Water Department fixed a water main break on Torrey Street. And whereas on March 4th, 1998, an explosion caused by a natural gas leak in the basement of a house on George Street in Attleboro killed 2 city workers and injured 7 others. And whereas on September 13th, 2018, excessive pressure in natural gas lines owned by Columbia Gas caused explosions and fires in more than 40 homes across Andover, Lawrence, and North Andover. Now therefore be it resolved that the Municipal Council of the City of Attleboro suggests the Mayor of the City of Attleboro conduct a retrospective analysis of the natural gas leak on Torrey Street and an analysis of the policies and procedures in effect under which the incident occurred. Results of the analysis, as well as any policy or procedural changes, should be reported back to the Municipal Council.
Second.
So, the way I'd like to conduct this discussion tonight is I'd like to have 2 discussions. One, to talk about what we want to do on the council to look into this further. And then second, to discuss moving the resolution forward. I've had conversations with the mayor today, and I do think it makes sense for us to move the resolution forward and encourage the mayor to conduct an analysis of from the city side and look at the policies and procedures that are in effect and look at what happened. But I also, and so the mayor pushed back a little bit and said, hey, it's well within your right to conduct this investigation. And you should do that. And so, but I don't think it makes sense for us to sort of really pry into the departments and go through their SOPs and their policies and suggest changes to those or whatnot. So I think it makes sense for us to move forward with the resolution. But I would like to conduct a little bit of an investigation of our own, looking towards state departments and talking to Columbia Gas, talking to DPU, and looking at some of those things. So the way I'd like to have this conversation, let's talk first about what we'd like to investigate and what we want to look at, and then we'll talk about whether or not we should move the resolution forward and send it to the mayor, and then we'll vote on sending the resolution. For our own internal investigation, the items that I would like to look at, and I've already started looking into it, is I've had conversations with Mike Kane, the Director of Government Affairs at Columbia Gas. Received a fair amount of information from them, and I can type all of that up and summarize it and send it out before our meeting next month. So I've talked quite a bit with Columbia Gas. I've reached out and talked to the director of DPU, and what they're going to do is get me in contact with the DPU person that was on site when Columbia Gas repaired the gas leak, because it was a Class 1 natural gas leak that was leaking gas from the street into those houses. DPU, the director indicated that DPU would have been there at the time of the repair and to oversee that. So I will talk to that individual and get any reports, whatever, that DPU has. I've also requested from Columbia Gas, and they directed me towards DPU. DPU is the Department of Public Utilities. I had requested a copy of all of the Class 1, 2, and 3 gas leaks within the community. There's a report that needs to be generated every year. Columbia Gas reports all of their Class 1, 2, and 3 leaks to DPU, and so that information is readily available, and I'll have that for the next meeting. But then, so that's reaching outside the city. I would also like to call before us, or would like to propose that we call before us one or two of the workers that were on site from the water department when they did repair the water main break. So, I mean, I think we should request that the administration investigates, but I would also like to hear from one of the people that actually did the work before us next month, if that's okay. So those are the things that I'm proposing. Does anybody else have suggestions for what to investigate? Okay. I'll start with my committee and then definitely open it up.
So thank you for all the work that you've done. What I would suggest, Todd, I like where your head's at. I like where this is going. Instead of doing this at the meeting on the 18th and the 20th, where it's already going to be a long, heavy set, chock full agenda, I think we should probably schedule an off night where we can do a lot of this. I would suggest perhaps seeing if some of your contacts can come and speak in front of us so we can ask some questions that we have. I'm not against necessarily bringing down some of the workers. I just want to be careful that it's something that we can do, especially from a contractual union standpoint. I think it's something that we could, I just want to make sure we're doing everything the up and up in this point.
Of course,
absolutely.
You know,
I think one of the reports that you're referring to, there's a report out there we've all seen, especially with our involvement in CARCs every year. It'll tell you about the little gas leaks here and there, nothing major. Attleboro reportedly has 63, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually, if you look at some of the other municipalities in that report, it's not, it's on the lower end. The other thing in some research I've been doing as well, which is alarming, and we always talk about the aging infrastructure of the city, we still have wood gas pipes. We have gas lines that go back to 1915. We have, I want to say it's close to 75.
Did you say wood?
Wooden, I believe. So I'm waiting for confirmation on that. But if you think about when these gas lines went in, we have 75 gas lines in the city that have gone in prior to the year 1930. That really, you know, we have to find out, have they been? So I think that, and what I'm getting at, my bigger point, because we're not going to solve this tonight, my bigger point is I think this is the first step in probably looking at a very comprehensive overview of where we're at, because like I said the other night, if we wait until we have what happened in the northern part of the state, we're waiting too late. It's too late at that point if we wait to what happened in the Merrimack Valley. So yeah, I think you're going the right way. I think we need to continue with the resolution, get that to the administration. I think it would behoove the administration to do their own. I would like to hear from Courtney. I would like to hear from, and I'm gonna, you know, reach out on my own, if you don't mind, to some of your contacts as well. I know, because we can only talk during the meeting. So I just think there's a lot that goes on. And like I said the other night, best case scenario, we find out that, you know, that everything, all the protocols were followed, you know, and maybe from that we find a way to update some of the standard operating procedures. So
absolutely, and that's I'd like to reiterate one of the things that in looking at this, we're not trying to point blame or do anything like that. And just because the water department was digging on Torrey Street and then 3 or 4 days later when the gas leak was discovered and Columbia Gas went out there and said, oh, this road was recently dug up and this is where the gas leak is. Like the mayor told me, correlation isn't necessarily causation, and we don't know that those are tied together, but it is definitely worth investigating quite a bit more.
Very well might have just been one of those, like, good thing that happened because now we know it's there.
Right, or the water department just could have been digging there, and they're also.
But that's why we need to find out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything specific that you want to point out for us to investigate, or you would like for me to look at over the next?
Well, I think the research that you've done, that you were talking about, I think if you could get those reports out to us, if you could get people, some of the contacts that you had in front of us, so we can question and you know, I think we have to be out in front of this, and I think everything we do with this has to be very transparent and very public.
Okay.
Just so there's no.
So I'll see if Mike King can come in and talk to us.
That'd be great.
Columbia Gas.
Thank you.
Councilor Holmes, before I open it up to the rest of the.
I agree. Council. I think maybe an off night and having a few people present would be I'd be open to that.
Okay. I will schedule something through Virginia and announce it publicly and all of that. But we'll plan on something on an off night. Anything specific to investigate?
No, just everything you've said.
I'm just going to go around this way because I didn't see whose hands up went up first, but so we'll start with you, Kate.
Thanks, Todd. So when you first read this Tuesday night, I personally took it as it's questionable by you, that maybe perhaps the water department made an error. But then when I went back and read it, it's like, okay, well, wouldn't Columbia Gas have done their own discovery and done their own investigation, which you're looking for? I've got to guess that company would do that. And when you just mentioned asking the water department employees, we can't do that. We're treading on thin ice. That would just be a hot mess, and we'd have to go into executive session, and we'd have the union reps here and the whole thing. You have to start, even though you want to talk to the people that were actually there and doing the work. I understand what you're trying to do, but I believe it would have to come from the department head itself. And Columbia Gas has got to have done some type of discovery. They have to have. So it's good that you're going to have someone from there. They'll be able to tell you. I'm curious, though, when you spoke with the mayor about this, what was his reaction? Like, you know, was he acceptable to saying, oh, I'll be happy to let you know and share, or was he offended?
No, he was very accommodating. He suggested that we conduct the investigation, explain to us that's our right, and the charter talks about our ability to conduct these sorts of investigations. He mentioned that he talked to the fire chief and the police chief, and he's not concerned about gas leaks within the city. So feel free to talk. Told me to feel free to talk to anybody. And it went as far as sending an email to Courtney saying, "Hey, please answer any of Todd's questions." So he was accommodating, but I would still like to request that they sort of do an internal look internally at the administration of the policies and procedures that are in effect, because they're the ones that will understand all of that best, and be able to suggest changes if changes are required.
Okay, thanks.
Ty?
Yes. Well, as I read this motion, it's not about, it's my understanding, I may have misunderstood, it's not about the council conducting an investigation. It's about us asking the mayor to continue to do either an ongoing or doesn't sound like it's a first-time investigation we're asking, but an ongoing investigation. But then as I hear the discussion so far, it sounds more like it's really, we want to possibly also conduct an investigation. So I'm not sure this resolution is worded consistent with what I'm already hearing from Councilor Delizio and others. Please.
So the intent, and that's, maybe I could have done a better job explaining it when we first started. So the intent is to have two discussions tonight. One of what we want to look at internally, based on the mayor's feedback, to say, you guys should look into it. And we want to focus our investigation in sort of talking to the external entities, in talking to them. But we do still want to push this resolution forward to ask the administration to do an internal retrospective. And that's something that, like Kate was saying, companies do that all the time. Like at my work, if anytime something goes wrong, there's an analysis of it, and we look to grow and get better and all of those things. So this is just, so we still want to send it forward to request that the administration conduct that analysis. But we'll also hold it on the docket so that we can look into it ourselves a little bit and discuss it. But so there's sort of it's a two-pronged approach, because I do think this is incredibly important, especially when public safety is on the line.
Okay, so it is two-pronged. So we are talking about conducting an investigation ourselves.
With our focus being external to the city and talking to these third-party entities like the Department of Public Utilities and Columbia Gas.
So I think that's perfectly legitimate. I'm not so sure about asking the administration to do another investigation, because it sounds like they've already done one.
My understanding is they have not. The mayor said he spoke to the police chief and the fire chief, and they said I don't know that there was any investigation. They just said, nope, we're not worried about gas leaks right now, and that was that. So my understanding is that an investigation has not been conducted on this matter. Okay. All set?
I'm done.
Councilor Conti?
So, you got 11 councilors, you get 11 opinions.
Sure.
I said Tuesday night that I thought that I've told everybody who asked me that I think municipal councilors are largely investigative reporters. I think that the council should take the lead on the investigation. What I'm hearing of what you've done already and what Councilor Delicio's done altogether, and it excites me, because I've given this a lot of thought in 2 days. But listening to the two of you talk, I'm thinking we've got everything we need right here to conduct a thorough investigation, and that we're duplicating the effort by bringing the administration in. The other thought is that when we conduct the investigation, because of the open meeting law, you two guys talk, we all hear what you have to say, and you can't talk without being in front of us for us to hear what you have to say, which I think is fabulous. I said Tuesday night that I thought that we could learn a lot in this. What I'm feeling is that I'm excited about this, because the last investigation I saw this council do was really, really disappointing. It was years ago. It was about the ARA. I remember, I think I was the one who was asking all the questions. It went nowhere, and it was really, really disappointing. That's not going to happen this year with this. I can already feel that we've looked into this, and that as a municipal council we can grow and get better through this investigation. So I won't support the resolution going to the administration, because the administration happens up in the corner office and nobody hears what goes up there unless he wants to share it, and he doesn't have to share it. But down here we do have to share it, and we have to make it public. And that's the fresh air and sunlight that I love about government, that people at home can see a municipal council working. That's great. So I'm going to ask the administration to open up the doors, which I think you're very willingly going to do. And I hope that you will ask councilors who want to help you in the investigation, help you with the investigation. But your investigation is going to go from the general down to, as you develop the general information, as you uncover that information, things are going to pop up. We're going to need to poke down into some specific things. And it's all going to be done in the public eye, and I think that's great. I think this council can come across as a nice, working council, and I love that. It elevates people's opinion of the council. So, that concludes my comments.
Those are great points, and I very much respect that.
Thank you, Councilor Kobus. So I would very much support the resolution moving forward to the administration. I think that Councilor Jackson's comments about us being on thin ice, we're frequently reminded by the administration that his job is administrative in nature, and a lot of the requests for information would be administrative in nature. I think this would be a great opportunity for the administration and the municipal council to be collaborative and work together. I also think that the findings, one of the things that I would look forward to through this investigation is that whatever the findings of the municipality versus our external investigation, and then comparing the two of those together, I think that would be a very interesting discussion. So I do think that this would be a good time, again, just for collaboration between us and the administration, making sure that we're not violating, or, next thing you know, someone's saying that there's an ethics violation because we're asking the wrong questions or borderline questions of people we shouldn't be asking those questions to. And one of the things I would suggest is that some of the information that I would like to see is that I would want the police reports from the incidents. I would like to know how the water main was detected, the timeline in which that was taken care of. I would like to have any kind of police reports as it pertains to the car accident, and the detailed reports of anything that happened in that period of time. I think that would be helpful. That's really all I have to say about that. And good. I think that the resolution should move forward, and I would support that in full council.
Great points. Thank you. President Cooper.
Thank you. So I agree with Councilor Conti in that I think that I fully support the investigation and the work that you have done. But at this time, I'm not necessarily in support of the resolution, because we don't have facts to ask them to sort of continue to look at. Now, when you get your follow-up from the director of the DPU, and the director of the DPU says, geez, the Attleboro Water Department should have done X, Y, or Z, or the call should have been called in at this time, and it didn't get called in till that time, and they were already digging when we arrived, and we couldn't do this, and we could. Then I think it's important to say to the administration through a resolution, because we found these facts, this is our expectation upon the finding of this fact for you to do X, Y, or Z. I think that you've done a great job in the follow-up. I also had a meeting tonight with Representative Hawkins. I let him know that this business was before the council, and that we would be, and he's also going to do some work with the DPU to try to see if there's any sort of conduit of information that he can help you connect with, either you or Jay or both of you. So he's also on board with that, but I think that you're already doing the investigation. You're doing a great job. I'm a little bit disappointed that DigSafe wouldn't talk to you, so like that's an opportunity for us to say to the mayor, DigSafe would not talk to us. Is this something we have to take the next step? Do we have to subpoena the request? Do we have to go through that process to get these things done? I'm happy to bring those to the solicitor and talk through that with her on how we get the information that you're asking for, since the mayor sort of gave us the green light. We didn't need him to give us the green light. We had it anyway. We can ask a department head to come before this council anytime we want. And that's as the chair of the committee that this was assigned to, you can ask Courtney, the water, wastewater, anybody else that has lines in that area to come speak before us. And I welcome you to do that and continue your investigation and the great work. And let's get some more facts before we send the resolution, to be very sort of prescriptive on what we want the outcome to be. This is sort of, there's a lot of facts here on what happened before, but not about the specifics that you're gonna get, I hope, from Mike Kane and DPU and the class 1, 2, and 3 leagues, and from the related department heads. And then let's talk about sort of what the next steps are. That's
So respectfully, those facts we can't get that information. We've exhausted what we can get from Columbia Gas at this point. Their report just says we went to Torrey Street, we found a gas leak, and we fixed it. Like, that's all the report says. Through Mike Kane and him talking to one of the people that was there, the supervisor or whatever that was there to help do the repair, it's in that conversation that the person said, oh, that there was, digging that had been done here, there was patches to the road right where we found the leak. But that's all we can get from Columbia Gas. And DPU may have a little bit more information, and we'll get that. But I think this is as prescriptive and targeted as we can get. We're looking for an investigation of this one specific incident, and we can't. Like Vice President Parika said, there are administrative questions and discussions that can happen that we can't do. We would have to do everything through the department superintendent. And additionally, DigSafe will only respond to the individual who called in the DigSafe report. So that would have to go through. Now with that said, in talking to Columbia Gas, they did report that DigSafe was called, and Columbia Gas went out there and marked it. So we have that information, but the main thing we're looking for is there anything we could have done differently to identify this earlier? And I think we need the administration to sort of conduct that, and I'm not saying that the mayor himself should do it. He can farm that out and delegate that to the water superintendent to do that, to come up with, hey, here's the policy changes we can do, and then report that back to us. But I think this is as prescriptive as we can get.
She can come right here, and one of her employees is watching. I can guarantee you that. Mm-hmm. And she's going to hear about it when she walks through the door tomorrow morning. I can guarantee you that, if she's not sitting at home watching AACS right now. She can look into that and come right before this council and report it. I don't think that it needs to go through sort of a third party when the council's asking questions of a department head. I just don't think that's necessary at this time. If we didn't get information, or we still had additional questions, or we weren't confident in the responses that we received, different story.
Great. I'll get back to you, Councilor Delissio. I'm going to continue around, and then Councilor Dolan.
So the more we talk about it, so I agree with Vice President Parika when she was talking about a timeline. what I'm wondering is, I'd like to see a timeline of everything that happened prior to the accident, if there were any gas leaks called in, and you know, when the work was done, and just like a whole timeline of anything that might have transpired. I agree with Council Conti and President Cooper in the sense of like, so I'm wondering, like, the more I hear everybody talk, like, if we can call all the department heads, I feel like we should do like a ton of background work first. I feel like we should get a timeline, figure out everything that transpired, because you're saying, you know, we can change policies. Like, we might not even need to change policies. Like, everything.
Agreed.
As you know, could have went according to plan. Because I mean, obviously we have gas leaks. I remember walking my dog in my own neighborhood, and I smelled gas, and there was a gas leak on 123. So I just kind of feel like we should do like a lot of legwork before we assign this off, because like Councilor Conti said, we can share everything and continue to talk, and you know, fresh air and sunlight, and so that's what I think. I think we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves as far as the investigation. Maybe we should do some back work before we.
That all makes sense. The thing that's confusing to me, and that's odd, like, we shouldn't even have to ask for this. Like, this should have already been.
Well,
I mean, like, why are we even asking for this? You know, I mean, lives were at risk.
What I'm saying is, like, I can't imagine we have like. I mean, are we conducting this because we're suspicious that somebody covered up something, or are we just? Because I mean, I'm sure there's gas leaks all over the city where, you know, like when I was walking my dog, somebody's walking their dog, and so are we investigating this because we feel like you're saying you started out by saying we're not assigning blame.
Correct.
But why are we doing this? Like, did something go wrong along the process that we feel like this is necessary? Did something happen that didn't get this gas leak fixed? How long was the gas leak? Was it going on for a long time? People reported it and it wasn't fixed? Did it happen because of the accident? Like, I'm just wondering, like, what we're doing here. Like,
we're trying to find an answer to that, and we don't. So the water department was there on the 22nd, digging, repairing a water main break on the 22nd. On the 27th, there was a car accident on Emery Street, and when Columbia Gas came and reported to that, they detected some gas in the area there, and they tracked it back to Torrey Street and mentioned that, hey, people were digging here. The road was recently patched.
so was there a report on this that we can look at that they said?
Just
That's what we want.
There isn't anything from Columbia Gas. Just the verbal discussion from the shift supervisor.
The shift supervisor of the water department?
No, from Columbia Gas that was there and did the repair work, the gas repair work. That's what we have, and we have the reports from Courtney saying on the 22nd they repaired a water main break on Torrey Street. That's what we have. And so maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe it was leaking for a long time, but I'm not at all saying that it was intentional or there was a cover-up or anything like that. I mean, it's entirely possible that they were digging over here, and by the dirt moving or whatever, the pipes are fragile, we have an aging infrastructure. It's entirely possible that something shifted and that caused the gas leak, and it wasn't enough for them to detect it immediately.
What was the date?
April 22nd is when the repair work was done. April 27th is when the car accident happened. It's in the resolution. And so I made with the resolution, I stuck to exactly the facts that this happened, this happened, this happened, and as a result, we would like to conduct this. Anything else?
No, right now. Thank you.
Councilor Reynolds.
So, I'm going to go along with Councilor Conti and Councilor Cooper that you mentioned that you already spoke to the mayor he's thinking this isn't really something he needs to do, which I actually find pretty strange, because this is people's lives. And I would think that if I were in that position of administration, regardless of what I might think, I would want to know what protocol was followed by my department, by a city department. That's all. I would want to know that. I'm dissatisfied and a little unnerved that our mayor is not willing to do that. I don't get it, because I think he could get the records that we can't get. That's what I think. My issue is that we should know that our departments, all department heads that have anything to do with safe digging up anything around gas, that they have protocols in place. We should know that they follow those protocols to the T, that there is some kind of checklist, which would be very easy to show us, that there was a checklist of protocols, because that's what maybe a department has or doesn't have. We should know that. We should find that out. Somebody should be running in here right now saying, oh, let me show you these protocols. And let me show you that we checked them all off. This leak had nothing to do with the water department, because here's our protocol, here's where people signed. Now, if we don't get that, and nobody's willing to come forward with that, then either we don't have the protocols, and we damn well better get them set up. We need to help them set them up, and we need to be sure that they are set up, something that I think our mayor should be doing. And if they are there and somebody missed it, somebody forgot to double check after the repair was done and the protocols were not followed, well, then that's a mistake, that's an error, that's a human error. And we make sure it doesn't happen again. That becomes our job, is to say, hey, department head, maybe you need to go down there and check. Maybe it's not just the workers. Maybe the department head has to do that. This can be any department head, whether it's our water department, DPW, whoever it might be. But if I were right now the department in question, I would have my butt down here with the protocol, and I would be showing it to every one of us. That would be my comfort level. So I go along with Councilor Cooper that we have a right to call this person in. We pay our department heads good money. They're responsible not only for the safety of their workers, but the safety of the citizens here in the city, or people that are visiting the city. This is unquestionably the most ridiculous thing, that we are begging for information. It's wrong. That information that no matter who the department head, they should be, like I said, running in here. Let me show you the protocol. I'm sorry. Yes, somebody missed it. No, nobody missed it. That leak was not the cause of anything that was done accidentally by our department. That's all we're asking for. That is more than reasonable to question at this moment in time. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Councilor Holmes, anything?
Well,
Seems that we're going around.
yes, sure.
Sorry.
So, did it seem like there was an openness, because whatever we discover, we will need the administration to potentially make a change, or I'm not sure, because you had a conversation. Was there an openness to? I mean, it kind of seems like, why are we doing an investigation if nothing's going, new policy, or there's not an openness to kind of really figuring this out?
There wasn't much of a discussion. I did mention how I didn't think it would make sense for us to go through and review an entire SOP for the water department and come up with suggestions for changes and whatnot. Which was why I still very much believe that we should do our own investigation, but also request that the administration conduct this themselves internally. And as much as we can parade people in front of us and whatnot, as soon as the camera's on, I mean, we all know that people shut down a little bit and are a little bit more guarded, as opposed to, I mean, if we, and I genuinely care about solving this and not placing blame. I genuinely feel that we could potentially make more progress in genuinely solving an issue, if an issue exists, by the administration chasing it down. Yes, I agree, fresh air and sunlight is wonderful, it's great, but we should report back to the community sort of what our findings are. But I question which would be more effective, us investigating it in front of the public with the cameras on, or the mayor having more private conversations and investigating and reporting back to us. I genuinely don't know what the right answer is, or which would be better. We'll go back to you, Councilor Delicio.
Thank you. So, great conversation. It's very robust. So let me just kind of help rein it in a little, right? The resolution right now is a placeholder so we can have this discussion.
Mm-hmm.
We can, whatever happens, because you didn't say you were sending it right away, right? Mm-hmm. So we figure out what's going on. I would add any report from the water department. I think that'd be helpful as well as we're looking at the information. This is important to me because we had to evacuate houses. People could have died. So that's why. This isn't a witch hunt by any stretch. This is not a witch hunt. For all we know, it very well may have been caused by the aging infrastructure. Mm-hmm. But we need to know, because what happens next time if we're not able to get the families out of the houses and something happens? That's what this is about to me as a co-sponsor of this legislation. I can't stress enough, this isn't to work against the administration, against the water department. It's to work together collectively as a city to ensure that we're doing everything that we can. So when we go home at night and we put our heads on the pillow, we know we did everything that we could. I don't care if it's a joint investigation with the administration and the council. I think we're going down the right line. My suggestion is continue to hold this resolution as a placeholder, because we can amend it and we can do whatever we need to do depending upon what we find when we find it. Ideally, here's what I'm hoping, guys. I'm hoping that we find out that it was the infrastructure, because then we can figure out what's the next plan, what's the next phase. And Mark, I'm glad that you said you were talking with the state delegation, because we're gonna need help. It's gonna be help that we're gonna need from probably the state senators, the state reps, and probably even our congressmen, to be quite honest. So this thing is gonna be bigger, but we've gotta figure out what happened. And it's not about blame. That's the thing that I can't stress, and Todd, I think you agree with me on this. This is not blame. The resolution, we might even find out after our investigation, crumple up the resolution, there's no need to send it out. We don't know that yet. And we can't be putting the cart before the horse at this point. Let's just step by step compartmentalize things.
And I disagree that this is putting the cart before the horse.
I didn't say it was. I said we have to be careful not to. Right. But that's what I'm saying is
where there's a clear, there's a clear correlation. The question is causation. It is, I am surprised that there's hesitation to send this request to just say, hey, look into this. We're going to look into it too, but it should have been done already, in my opinion.
I agree. If I could, I agree with that 100%. What I'm saying with holding off on the sending the resolution, I think the mayor's heard probably pretty loud and clear the article. I've gotten a lot of feedback from the article today. I'm sure we all have. I'm just saying this allows us to continue to have this conversation unless
we were going to move it forward, but keep it on the docket.
Correct.
As a placeholder for our conversation. So
right.
That was the plan, to move it forward, vote it before the council tonight, and send it to the administration as a clear signal. But I'll go to Councilor Dolan, and then if we want to come back and you want to rescind your second and we can sit on it, we can do that. But I'll give Councilor Dolan a second. And I haven't looked in that direction in a while, and I apologize.
That's quite all right.
Have we requested anything from the water department as far as a report from that day?
Not yet. I just had an email from her, from Courtney, and we'll be talking tomorrow.
Oh, I thought I missed something, because when Councilor Reynolds was saying we shouldn't be here begging for a report, I thought that we missed something.
No, if I may reply to that?
Yes.
My comment
thought I
is
missed
meaning, this has been a discussion, it's been in the newspaper. Obviously, I would like to think that the department head is aware of this going on. I would have stopped it right in its tracks if I were that person and brought in the protocol.
Okay. Thank you.
I think it's
Oh, I'm
great.
sorry.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
no,
Fin-
no,
you can
go
finish
ahead,
it.
go ahead. I'm good. Go ahead.
Councilor Jackson.
So if you're hoping to learn the policies behind what the water department does in instances like this and what their protocol is. So my suggestion to you is, yes, invite the department head here to one of your meetings when you have it. Possibly at the same time you have Columbia Gas come in, if they so do come in, because I just can't imagine that on every single gas leak that they don't do their own investigate. I find that so hard to believe. They probably have already done one. So, and, you know, I know you're trying to find out, like, you know, was this a cause from the city side, this whole thing? If it was an accident, it was an accident. But I gotta guess, and I really believe that if they had any question about it, that they've done an investigation, or they do an investigation anyways every time they get a gas leak to find out what happened, especially if someone questioned there was digging going on ahead of time. But it is my suggestion to you that you invite Courtney here, find out, she can tell us what their policies are, what they do, how it works. Columbia Gas here to tell us what, you know, how they follow. Even the fire department to come before you. I think that's the route to go if you want to get answers to policies and procedures and what actually took place at this particular incident.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
So if I can summarize before you withdraw the second. You see how I see this is the time for the councilors to put on the big pants. The benefit of doing that is huge. Councilor Reynolds and Councilor Cooper and Councilor Delicio and Councilor Conti are all saying the same thing, is that when you get a council investigation starting in Attleboro, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and Columbia Gas is going to respond because, believe me, much better that you've got a council investigation than the administration placing a call to the president of Columbia Gas. It's a whole different thing. And I think it gives the public an opportunity to see how effective a city council can be, and that concludes my comments.
And Columbia Gas has been very responsive.
Of course.
And every time I call, it's, hey, Counselor, how's it? Like.
But you see, we evacuated houses.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. And so it sounds like we're going to rescind the second and hold off. I will, if I may, President Cooper, do you mind if I schedule for next month on either the Tuesday or the Thursday to request that Columbia Gas and Courtney come in?
Why don't we do it on a Tuesday that we don't have the meeting scheduled?
Yes.
Because a lot of us sort of plan to be out of the house on Tuesday night anyway. So if we did it on an off Tuesday and let the cable company know it could be aired, we could get the fire chief, Columbia Gas, get everybody lined up and post the meeting as a special meeting of the municipal council, and we can certainly do that to accommodate the investigation, without a doubt.
So generally speaking, let's plan on the Tuesday prior to, see, people are on vacation. We plan on only doing things on that 1 week in August.
You gotta move forward.
What I would suggest is, if we need an additional meeting after that, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Sounds good. All right, so I'll schedule it with Virginia. We'll move forward. Do you want to rescind your second?
Rescinded.
All right, moving on. All right. So these next ones, really straightforward. So from the docket of June 18th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Marigold Circle, length of 610 feet from STA 0+00 to STA 6+10 as a public way and accept said way in any related drainage, water, or sewer facilities or easements, all as shown on a plan and profiled entitled Street Acceptance Plan, Marigold Circle, dated June 11th, 2019 by Ronald N. Tubman, PLS, which plan and profile have been deemed satisfactory to the Superintendent of Public Works, and to adopt the order of taking.
Second.
So for all of these, I spoke to Gary. He's comfortable with each of these. Like President Cooper described, that this is just accepting them as public ways. We're already doing maintenance for these, but by accepting them as public ways, we can then get some additional Chapter 90 money for work that we're already doing. In Chapter 90 money can only be used for public ways anyway, so it works out well.
You read it as June 11th, 2009, 2019, where the plan's actually dated 2009, not 2019.
Excuse me.
Yep.
2009. Okay, yep.
Thank you.
Just,
That's the plan.
Chapter 90 money is based on mileage?
Correct.
Okay, I didn't know if you understood that.
And so by increasing the mileage that the city has, it increases the Chapter 90 money that we would receive from the state.
At one
Yes.
time, we weren't doing it, Todd, as often. I did them once under Public Works, and I think I had 40 of them, sections that weren't done. And they've done a good job keeping up with it since. But it makes a big difference in our Chapter 90.
And those comments apply to all of these tonight. They've all been approved by the planner. I spoke to Mike Tyler, he's comfortable with all of these. And one of the questions I asked Mike Tyler was, is this going to cost the city anything additional as far as maintenance rate? He's like, we're already doing it, so, yeah.
Because as President Cooper said, we're a nice city.
Exactly. Any other comments on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. From the docket of June 18th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Cedar Creek Drive, length of 1,310 feet from STA 0+00 to STA 13+10 as a public way, and accept said way in any related drainage, water, or sewer facilities or easements, all as shown on a plan and profile titled Street Acceptance Plan, Cedar Creek Drive, dated June 11, 2009, by Ronald N. Tubman, PLS, which plan and profile have been deemed satisfactory to the Superintendent of Public Works, and to adopt the order of taking.
Second.
Any comments?
I just have a quick question.
Absolutely.
Todd, and just refresh my memory, and maybe you know, maybe somebody else knows. Who actually approves the names of streets? Is it the fire chief or the police chief?
I would defer that to somebody else. I do not know the answer.
I'm curious just because we have so many streets. So I was going through this whole list because I'm like, ooh, most of them are in Cooper's Ward, Ward 2, most of them.
Mm-hmm.
A couple in yours, there was one in Laura's. But, and I've heard it many, many times before on the radio, the scanner, where they'll say, they're sending a rescue to Holden Street. They go to Holman Street. So now they have to say to them, it's off of Stocky. Mm-hmm. So they have to give them directions that way because all the streets sound the same. So when I was reading, I think it's Jenny's Way. So do you know we have two Jenny's Way? We have one that's spelt with a Y, one that's spelt with an I-E. But then we also have a Jennifer and a Jennifer Lee and a Jenna. And we have two Jackson Streets in the city of Attleboro. And it goes back to that, we just changed that street name. I just wish whoever it is that approves this would think a little bit harder and, say no. It sounds too much like it's too close, because even Cedar Creek, there's Cedar Creek, whatever it is that you did tonight, but then there's also Cedar Creek Street. Now that sounds crazy, doesn't it? There's so many. We could somehow. I don't know how we can address something like that, but whoever it is that ultimately decides, For some reason, I do think it's the fire chief, but I'm not positive.
Well,
But
and I think it's the planning department when they first submit their plans for a new development.
But it has to go to somebody, I think.
That I don't know, but
Yeah, I'm gonna find out, because it drives me nuts.
I'll ask
Yeah.
Gary tomorrow.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's sort of too late to
Oh, I know,
change
I
it
know.
because
I
these
was just
families
asking
are
a
established
question.
on the streets and whatnot. Any other comments? All in favor?
Second, aye.
Oh.
rather.
Second, aye, got it. Aye. Motion passes. All opposed? Anyone opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Robert's Rules. From the docket of June 18, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Jonah Drive, length of 839.47 feet from STA 0+00 to STA 8+39.47 as a public way and accept said way in any related drainage, water, or sewage facilities or easements, all as shown on a plan and profile entitled Street Acceptance of Jonah Drive in Attleboro, Massachusetts, dated dated September 24th, 2004 by Arthur F. Borden, PLS, which plan and profile have been deemed satisfactory to the Superintendent of Public Works and to adopt the order of taking.
Second.
Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of June 18, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Marissa Circle, length of 212 feet from STA 0+00 to STA 2+12 as a public way and accept said way in any related drainage, water, or sewer facilities or easements, all as shown on a plan and profile entitled Street Acceptance Plan, Jenna Drive and Marissa Circle, dated October 10th, 2005 by Ronald N. Tubman, PLS, which plan and profile have been deemed satisfactory to the Superintendent of Public Works and to adopt the order of taking.
Second.
Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. For the docket of June 18, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Jenna Drive, length of 413 feet from STA 0+00 to STA 4+13 as a public way and accept said way in any related drainage, water, or sewer facilities or easements, all as shown on a plan and profile entitled Street Acceptance Plan, Jenna Drive and Marissa Circle, dated October 10th, 2005 by Ronald N. Tubman, PLS, which plan and profile have been deemed satisfactory to the Superintendent of Public Works and to adopt the order of taking.
Second.
Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. For the docket of June 18, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro, as amended to lay out Austin Drive as a public way, length of 400 feet from STA 0+00 to STA 4+00, and accept said way in any related drainage, water, or sewer facilities or easements, all as shown on a plan and profile entitled As-Built Plan and Profile Austin Drive, dated February 4th, 2013, prepared by Brian J. Murphy, RPLS, which plan and profile have been deemed satisfactory to the Superintendent of Public Works and to adopt order of taking.
Second.
Any comments?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Councilor Deliso, do you want to?
Sure. From the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out a portion of St. John Street, length 228.58 feet from station 1+15 to station 3+43+58 as a public way and accept said way in any related drainage, water, sewer facility or easements, all as shown on a plan and profile entitled Street Acceptance Plan, Don Street and Woodside Avenue, dated December 15th, 2004 by Ronald N. Tubman, PLS, which plan and profile have been deemed satisfactory to the Superintendent of Public Works to adopt the order of taking.
Second.
Any comments?
Just a quick, he said Don Street, and it's St. Don Street.
St. John.
Yeah.
Got it.
Thank you.
Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
From the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out a portion of Woodside Avenue length 352.92 feet from STA 0+20 to STA 3+72.92 as a public way and accept said way and any related drainage, water, or sewage facilities or easements, all are shown on a plan and a profile entitled Street Acceptance Plan, St. John Street and Woodside Avenue, dated December 15, 2004, by Ronald N. Tubman, PLS, which plan and profile have been deemed satisfactory to the Superintendent of Public Works, and to adopt the order of taking.
Second.
Any comments?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
From the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Landers Road as a public way length 396.89 feet from STA 0+00 to STA 3+96.89 and accept said way and any related drainage, water, sewage facilities, or easements, all as shown on a plan and profile entitled Roadway Acceptance Plan, Landers Road, My Lady's Landing subdivision, dated February 19th, 2019, prepared by Brian J. Murphy, RPLS, which plan and profile have been deemed satisfactory to the Superintendent of Public Works and to adopt the order of taking.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
It's a beautiful street.
Excellent. It's right across the street from you, right? Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Last one.
From the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Tenant Circle as a public way length of 202.16 feet from STA 0+00 to STA 2+02.16 and accept said way and any related drainage, water, sewer facilities, or easements, all are shown on a plan and profile entitled Acceptance Plan and Profile of Tenant Circle in Attleboro, Mass, dated April 11th, 2011 by Everett Otis Dyer, RPE, and PLS, which plan and profile have been deemed satisfactory to the Superintendent of Public Works and adopt the order of taking.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. That concludes my business. Oh,
I have one
Councilor
question. Thank you. With the marijuana businesses, I know we had voted to bring it over to the zoning board of appeal, I think zoning board. I was wondering if you had any update or heard like how that's going, because we kind of transitioned that. I didn't know.
So I was just at a ZBA, zoning board of appeals meeting on the 11th, so last Thursday. And the zoning board just approved their first license going through the zoning board. It was Major Bloom. They were the ones that were, what's that?
Forest Street, right? Is Major Bloom Forest Street?
I believe so, near the Reserve Center.
Yeah.
Yes.
they're on
Yes,
Forest
Forest
Street.
Street.
No.
No,
I got the wrong one. Go ahead.
No, that one's still, there's two or three other ones in the zoning board right now. So they just approved their first one last week. It was Major Bloom. There's a few others that are in the pipeline with the zoning board, but it's moving along.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so,
good to hear.
I mean, the first one's rocky, and I felt bad for Major Bloom in that they filed the application through us, and then we transferred things to the zoning board, and they had to go through the public hearing process again, and all of that, so that delayed their application a little bit, but it's all been approved, and it's moving forward now, and, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? All right.
Counselor, did you happen to see in the newspaper this week that Nova is advertising for staff for 34 Extension Street, so they must be getting much closer because they're ready to bring on people.
That's good.
Something's gonna happen soon.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned at 9:30.
I call traffic and transportation to order at 9:30. I'm missing Sarah, but that's okay. Just very, very briefly, as you all saw, we all got a letter from residents on Holden Street. I just wanted to give a little update on that. That was referred to my committee. It's fine. And I just wanted to let some of our fellow counselors know, a couple weeks back, there was a community meeting that myself, Mr. Kobus, and Mr. Waterman attended, where we met with about 25 give or take, 25, give or take, of the residents of Holden Street. It was a very productive discussion that we had. We came away with some suggestions for things that they would like to see. Some of them were already in process. I know the resident that we were with had already reached out to Councilor Delisio to ask for a couple of crosswalks to be repainted. So Councilor Kobus sent out the minutes. We composed an email, sent it out to a couple of department heads, CCing the administration, and made some requests for improvements down at that location. And I'm very happy to say that the DPW superintendent and the police department have been very responsive. They've recently installed new 30-mile-per-hour signs, repainted all the crosswalks, actually put the yellow pedestrian signs showing at the crosswalks, letting people be more aware of that. And yesterday they dropped off the speed sign from the police department, so when you're driving by and it starts flashing, you can't miss that. So there are more things that need to be done at that location, but in the event that you're curious about what was happening with that letter, I would have to say that we're all over it, and so our department heads, and I just wanted to say thank you to them for their quick response to our requests.
Second.
Councilor Conti.
So, I wasn't able to attend the meeting because I had another commitment, but I did read the letter, and I did have a conversation with Councilor Kobus about what went on at the meeting. This is I know everybody that lives on that street, and this is not a new problem. If you remember a few years back, former Councilor Waite and I did a presentation to halt truck traffic on that street that was going to the landfill, and that's when I got to know everybody on the street. That road it's ready for resurfacing. I just wish we had another $2.9 million in the capital improvement plan to resurface more roads. But the speeds are something that's really problematic, because once you complain to the state that speeds are a problem, the state ups the speed limit. So that's the way that they deal with that issue.
I did explain that to the residents.
Yeah, and I sympathize with them, but I'm happy that we've certainly given them all the attention that we're able to give them thus far. And I'm on the street often, so I'll be monitoring the progress. Thank you.
Thank you. So it is a major throughway from 152 to 123. I think that it's on our radar, well, not our, but it's on the department head's radar a little bit more than it has been in the past, and I think it actually needs to be one of our priority roads to ensure that the potholes are filled. I mean, if May Street's getting 6,000 cars a day, can you even imagine the volume that Holden Street is taking? So, and that was one of the concerns of the residents, that over the course of time, so the people who had lived there the shortest, I believe it was 4 years. Other than that, it was 25, 27, 43, 65. Like, just everyone in that neighborhood has been there forever. And what they're observing is that there's an uptick in volume, especially landscaping trucks and development trucks. They're finding that their house is shaking. Trucks are coming late at night instead of during regular business hours. So there are a couple of things that we can still, we're still kind of processing that information, whether we restrict truck traffic between 10 at night and 7 in the morning. There are different things that we can kind of flesh out to see if that's something. One of the other suggestions being that currently without land taking, we can't put a light at the end of Holden Street and North Main. There may be some things that we can do in that area as it stands right now. The suggestion was made to install a temporary four-way stop at Holden and Bank. I haven't had a chance to circle back with the police chief with regards to that to see how he'd feel about that. I'm not super thrilled about that one myself, because I think there'd be a lot of backup. But there are areas of need, and we can do some more improvement there to make the quality of life for the residents there better, as well as our own, because we're all on that road. And we also have to be cognizant of the fact of any change we make pushes them down through Mortgage Hill. I mean, the police chief was talking about that earlier tonight. So we always have to be cautious of when we throw the stone in the water, what the ripple effect is on that. So, but I just wanted to give you guys an update on that. Other than that, I don't have any business, so I call. Anyone have any other comments about that?
I just want to add one
Oh,
thing.
sure, Ty, sorry.
It was really a wonderful turnout, and everybody was very professional, in my opinion. The telling item to me was, I asked, well, how do your children cross the street? Because there are children that live up there, and there was kind of a resounding never.
Yeah, they don't.
You know, everybody said never, and then people started saying, we don't even let the children get in the front yard. They have to be in the backyard. So it was really difficult for me, even on a bicycle, to I couldn't get across through the crosswalks without waving at people, and
That's every crosswalk.
it'll get better.
Yes.
It'll get better.
Mr. Kubis.
The one of the many interesting things that I took away from that is we just sort of surveyed the room and the 25 people there to ask how many of them had an accident pulling in or out of their driveway.
Oh, yeah.
And it was collectively there were 18 different accidents pulling in and out of driveways on Holden Street. So I thought that was pretty significant. But
That was collective.
that was collective over some of them having lived there forever and others only 4 years, right?
Yeah, but one accident is too many, so.
That concludes my comments.
Anybody else? Okay, so I call for an adjournment at 9:37.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. And we are adjourned at 9:37.
Budget and appropriations is canceled.
Woo.
Maybe I'll call it back to you.
I'd like to call License Committee to order at 9:37. I have a few tonight, so let's see. From the docket of July 18, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 312 for September poppy drives at 2 grocery store locations in Attleboro.
Second.
We all know what the poppy drive is. Does anybody have any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. From the docket of July 18, 2019, I move to approve the application for a Class 2 license from, no, I'm sorry, disregard, that's for a public hearing. From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the application for a coin-op automatic amusement license from New England Authentic Ease LLC, DBA Papagenos at 103 Pleasant Street.
Second.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Pizza was good tonight.
Oh, that's adorable.
Jinx.
All those in favor?
Aye.
From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the application for a coin-op automatic amusement license from New England Authentic Eats LLC, DBA Papagenos at 283 Washington Street.
Second.
Any questions?
We didn't have their pizza.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request to waive section 11-15.1 to serve alcoholic beverages on city property submitted by the Friends of Capron Park Zoo for their event on October 5th, 2019.
Second.
So we had the public hearing for this. Everybody, this is what they do every year. So does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the Class 2 application from Wathek Obaid of 196 Commonwealth Avenue, North Attleboro, for Automaze 2, Inc. at 826 Washington Street for 11 customer parking spaces and 34 display spaces.
Second.
So we had the public hearing for this, and I believe everybody was here. Does anybody have any questions? This is the old Looney Tune location. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. From the docket of June 4th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the application from Jessica Grillo from Column Health of Railroad Avenue, Attleboro, for a license application to keep and stand in a public place.
Second.
So President Cooper, we did have the public hearing for this, and President Cooper and Counselor Holmes and I went to have a tour. I'm not sure, it's on Railroad Ave, I'm not sure if any, actually, very nice place. Nice people, they seem to do good work. So, you know, she wanted to set up a stand to hand out information, you know, for what they do there. You know, initially there was some back and forth about it as far as, you know, because it is a residential area as well, and so on and so forth. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to I have no problem with it. I'd like to approve it, but amend it to, you know, a smaller section, like a smaller time frame, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 and 2, and up till October 31st of 2019.
Second. Did you just make a motion to amend?
Yes.
Well, then.
I guess I was kind of just chatting, but that can be my motion if anybody wants to discuss anything. So everybody agrees with my motion to amend?
I think that's it. I think.
Point of order is that the chairperson cannot make the motion, so you're best to take her motion.
I could, yes, we could make the
I can amend it after we second it, yes?
I can,
Or you can, but I feel like I thought I could, but
hold on.
go right ahead there, Heather.
I can make the motion for you. We did second your first, because you seconded it. So then we can make a motion to amend. So then we can pass it out. So you have options. You can pass it out of committee as such, and then make a motion to amend on the floor in front of the full council. So then you could make that motion to amend, or I could make the motion to amend right now and send it amended to the full council.
What would you like to do? Would you like to make a motion to amend it to Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, 10 to 2, expiring on 10/31/19?
Why don't we, I think it might be fine to just pass it out and make that motion, because you have it all written down over there and I don't have to do that.
All right,
over here.
so we'll just, so you seconded the original, so we'll just, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. And I'll amend it on the floor. And that's all the business I have this evening. I'd like to call for adjournment at 10:42.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 9:40. Oh, did I say 10:42? Excuse me, I think I did, 9:42.
I'd like to call the City Property and Claims Committee to order at 9:43. Members present are myself, Councilor Blair, and Councilor Holmes. From the docket of July 18th, 2019, I entertain a motion that in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, the city accepts the generous donation of Jeffrey DiMarzio of DiMarzio Masonry, who has graciously agreed to donate his time in the amount and materials that were donated by Rust-Oleum in the amount of $9,640 to construct a replica of the Wolf and Den smokestack at the Judith H. Robbins Riverfront Park.
Second.
Thank you. For those of you that may not remember this came up 3 years ago. Rust-Oleum donated the bricks. Jeffrey DiMarzio, who owns a masonry company, has agreed to donate all of his labor, and Dennis Walsh, the Recreation Department, will dig the hole. Any
DPW.
comments, questions?
DPW.
DPW, I'm sorry. DPW. It's getting, any questions, concerns?
Nice teamwork.
Yes, it is, it is, and it did take a long time, and the reason it took a long time is because this first came out under Mayor Dumas, and then when Mayor Haro came into office, he was, just learning the ropes and what was going on, and so it started the process all over again, and all of these things had to go through the park, the conservation, which they were unaware of way back in 2016, and then it had to come in front of the council, so that's why it's taken so many years. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? That motion passes. From the docket of July 18th, 2019, I entertain a motion that in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, the city accepts a generous donation of playground equipment with a value of $3,558.70 from Willett PTO to the Willett Elementary School.
Second.
Thank you. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but is there any questions, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes. From the docket of July 18th, 2019, I entertain a motion to declare the following Attleboro Public Schools vehicle as surplus and available for disposition. A 2005 Chevy 22-passenger bus. The VIN number is 1GBJ G31U251102-652, and the condition is poor.
Second.
Thank you. Again, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. From the docket of July 18th, 2019, I entertain a motion to declare the following wastewater department equipment as surplus and available for disposition. 2 1980 Mack dump trucks, one VIN number DM685SX46698, second one VIN number DM685SX46697, The mileage on the first truck is 32,268, and the mileage on the second is 90,728, and both of them are in poor condition. There is a 2004 Ford F-250 pickup. The VIN number is 1FDN F21L84EA 71217, and the mileage is 110,760, and it is in poor condition.
Sir.
Thank you. All those, again, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Any questions or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes. Oh, I'm sorry. Take back your second, I missed one. I missed an item. So, go back your second for a minute so I can add it. Okay.
Second removal.
Okay, second removal. And so there's one more item added, the Canon Image Runner 2230 copier. It's in poor condition and it's of 0 value. So again, I will ask for a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that motion passes. And that is all the City Property and Claims Committee has for this evening. I would like to ask for an adjournment at 9:47.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 9:47. Thank you.
Ordinance, election, and legislative matters is canceled tonight.
Reporting for Public Safety and Emergency Management. I have one motion this evening. From the docket of July 18, 2019, I entertain a motion to transfer $39,481.90 from account 1124100-578300 citywide reserve fund for transfer to account 1220100-532010 fire tuition and books to reimburse 17 pre-approved members of the bargaining unit for the cost of tuition and books for each of their approved courses in a fire science program that they have successfully completed.
Second.
This is contractual with the fire department for these courses. I question, some of my fellow councilors thought that maybe this should have been in the budget to start with, but it wasn't, and these firefighters are entitled to get their money, so it's pretty cut and dry. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Have no other business, I move to adjourn at 9:49.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Let's wait for Steve to come back.
How you doing, George?
Always
Good
well.
stuff.
Always good.
Hey, where's Paul Dion been?
He was with us last night.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
How is he? I haven't
He's
seen
Paul.
him in a while. I miss seeing him out here.
Yeah. He's Paul.
Mark.
Such a good guy.
Professor Cooper, when you station 0+00, like, do you say plus? How do you?
Yes.
Okay.
Station plus 0.30.
Okay.
No, he's gonna only go to public way and then stop. But you should read the measurements on the plan into the record for the motion. We don't need the whole thing.
Yeah. Please.
Please. And thank you.
I like this by the way.
That's one.
It's one of us.
I think Virginia just contacted him.
Yeah, she did. She was going to when he got. What's that?
Did he go
No, he went to his office to do some things.
take a siesta?
I would've went to sleep.
If he's smart too.
I wouldn't have blamed him.
Yeah, he might have been napping.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Okay.
I wasn't sleeping.
No.
I would have been.
Yeah, we would.
I kept watching, then going somewhere else, so.
You ready? Steve, you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Call the council back to order at 9:51. There is no mayor's communication this evening. There's no other communications, going right to committee reports, and starting with Council Jackson.
Thank you. Reporting for the Public Works Committee this evening from the docket of July 18th, 2019. I move to appropriate $130,000 from the Sidewalk Other Financing Uses account to fund sidewalk other financing sources, and also appropriate $4,621.20 from the DPU-TNC-other financing sources to fund sidewalk other financing sources to satisfy the request for $134,621 from the DPW to install new sidewalks on Amended Road.
Second.
Thank you.
Motion's in order.
We discussed this a little bit earlier this evening. That's what makes it kind of nice, having like the committee meeting and the regular meeting, because you've already talked about it. Nobody can forget what you said. So, no, this is just, and this is only the first phase of this part of Mendon Road.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, this requires a roll call vote, and I believe with Councilor Blair?
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Vice President Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas and 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I move to approve the request from National Grid and Verizon for the installation of a joint pole and anchor pole number 2 for a new home at 11 Calvin Street.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you, motion's in order.
I have no comments.
Great, any questions or comments? Seeing none, a voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I move to approve the request from National Grid and Verizon for the installation of a joint pole and anchor located 75 feet north of existing? Okay. Existing pole 3325 on Rathbun Willard Drive for the sewer pump station at the new Attleboro High School.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you, motion's in order. Any
I have
questions
no
or
other
comments? Great, seeing none, a voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, motion passes.
Thank you. I have no further business this evening for the Public Works Committee, but would like to call for an appropriate, a meeting at the appropriate time next month. And I wish you all a great few weeks off, and we'll see you in August.
Excellent, thank you. Council Waterman.
Yes, reporting from the Personnel and Human Services Committee, reporting from the docket of July 18th, 2019. I move to approve the grant from the National Endowment for the Arts awarded to the Attleboro Public Library for the community-wide Big Read program in the amount of approximately $15,000, and approve the expenditure of such funds and any other grant amendments received by the Attleboro Public Library in accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro. Details will be announced to the public in August.
Second.
Thank you, motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Great, a roll call vote is in order, and we'll begin with Council Jackson.
Mrs. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Vice President Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you, motion passes.
And also from the docket of July 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor to confirm the appointment of Douglas Green, 3 Commonwealth Avenue, TH2, to fill an expired term on the Cultural Council, term to expire February 2022.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
So we have an excellent candidate.
Excellent. Voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
And that concludes the business of the Personnel and Human Services Committee. I'll call the next meeting at the most appropriate time.
Great, thank you. Councilor Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President. Reporting for Capital Improvement City Development, I have one motion for the council this evening from the docket of July 18th, 2019. I request a public hearing be called for August 20th, 2019 to address the following loan request for the Steer Street water main repair.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
I have none.
Thank you. This is simply to call for a public hearing. Any other questions or comments? Voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
Mr. President, that concludes the business Capital Improvement City Development has to bring before the council this evening. We look forward to our next meeting in August.
Great, thank you. Councilor Cobus.
Reporting for Zoning and Land Use Committee from the docket of July 18th, 2019. I move to approve the expenditure of the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Grant of approximately $32,000 received by the Planning Department and approve any further grant amendments. The requisite local match will be provided in the form of in-kind services by city staff.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
We discussed this during our committee meeting. It's about establishing a plan for climate change for the city and evaluating any risks that we have in our community.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Vice President Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Moving on. From the docket of June 18, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinance of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Marigold Circle length of 610 feet from station 0+00 to station 6+10 as a public way.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Jackson.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Cobus.
Yes.
Vice President Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of June 18, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to sections 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Cedar Creek Drive, length of 1,310 feet from station 0+00 to station 13+10 as a public way.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Vice President Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of June 18, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Joanna Drive, length of 839.47 feet from station 0+00 to station 8+39.47 as a public way.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Jackson.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Vice President Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of June 18, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Marissa Circle, length of 212 feet from station 0+00 to station 2+12 as a public way.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Vice President Parika.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of June 18, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Jenna Drive, length of 413 feet from station 0+00 to station 4+13 as a public way.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call vote is required and begin with Counsel Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes.
For the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Austin Drive as a public way, length of 400 feet from station 0+00 to station 4+00.
Second.
Thank you, motion's in order. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call vote is required and we'll begin with Counsel Blair.
Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Excuse me, yes.
Is that a yes? Mr. Cobus?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes.
For the docket of June 18th, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out a portion of St. Don Street, length of 228.58 feet from station 1+15 to station 3+43.58 as a public way.
Second.
Thank you, motion's in order. I'm just doing my math here on the stations. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, we're good.
No comments.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required and begin with Counsel Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes.
From the docket of June 18, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out a portion of Woodside Avenue, length of 352.92 feet from station 0+20 to station 3+72.92 as a public way.
Second.
Thank you, motion's in order. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, requires a roll call vote and we'll begin with Counsel Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mrs. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes.
From the docket of June 18, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Landers Road as a public way, length of 396.89 feet from station 0+00 to station 3+96.89.
Second.
Thank you, motion passes. Motion's in order. I think, I'm confident that it will, but, you know, putting the cart before the horse. Roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Counsel Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
I had comments on that.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes for real this time.
From the docket of June 18, 2019, I move to approve the request of the mayor pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro as amended to lay out Tenant Circle as a public way, length of 202.16 feet from station 0+00 to station 2+02.16.
Second.
Thank you, motion's in order. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Counsel Blair.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you, motion passes.
That concludes the business for the Zoning and Land Use Committee. I call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Vice President Parika.
Thank you, President Cooper, reporting for traffic and transportation. I have no business this evening. I would like to call for a committee meeting next month at the appropriate time.
Great, thank you.
No business for budget and appropriations. We'd like to call for a meeting at the appropriate time.
Great. Counsel Dolan.
Reporting for the License Committee, I have 6 motions this evening. From the docket of July 18, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the American Legion Auxiliary, Unit 312, for September poppy drives at 2 grocery stores located in Attleboro.
Second.
Thank you, motion's in order. Any comments or questions?
Nope, just discuss this.
Thank you. A voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the application for a coin-op automatic amusement license from New England Authentic Eats LLC DBA Papagenos at 103 Pleasant Street.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments or questions?
None.
Thank you. The voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the application for a coin-op automatic amusement license from New England Authentic Eats LLC DBA Papagenos at 283 Washington Street.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments or questions?
None.
Thank you. Voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the request to waive section 11-15.1 to serve alcoholic beverages on city property submitted by the Friends of Hebron Park Zoo for their event on October 5th, 2019.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
No, we just discussed this.
This requires a roll call vote, and we'll begin with Counsel Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Ms. Dole?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Mr. Ware? Yes. President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of June 25th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the Class 2 application from Wathek Obaid of 196 Commonwealth Avenue, North Attleboro for Automaze 2, Inc. at 826 Washington Street with 11 customer parking spaces and 34 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments or questions?
We had the public hearing. I don't have any further comments.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thank you. A voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of June 4th, 2019, I entertain a motion to approve the application from Jessica Grillo from Column Health of Railroad Avenue, Attleboro, for a license application to keep a stand in a public place.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
So as far as comments, I just wanted to, I don't know who was here during my committee meeting, that Counselor Holmes and President Cooper and I went to visit. I don't want to repeat myself. I know it's late. We just went to just check it out, see what they do. Very nice place, nice people. And I'd like to make a motion to amend this, if I could.
Sure.
So I'd like to make a friendly amendment to add hours and times. So I would like to go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 to 2 for the license to expire on 10/31/19.
Second.
Perfect. Motion is in order. Any questions or comments
This is on the amendment, right?
on the amendment? That's right. Okay. They were, so I'm just gonna make a quick comment during our visit, that this is sort of what they wanted, just to sort of get a feel for what this would be until October. It's gonna get cold, they're not gonna wanna do this anymore. They've had great results. They've actually had people come in from her presence prior to them getting the license, but they've had some success. In fact, she described a scenario in which the gentleman that comes, that did meet her on the street, calls her his guardian angel. So there is some positive effect of them, her presence on the street. So, they agreed to try this and see if they keep having that success. They do have the signage now, and the facility is really actually very nice inside. It was a nice tour, and it was nice to meet with them. So that's why we made this friendly amendment sort of at their request, with us talking through what their intentions were. Council Blair?
Just one question. I know it was brought up before. They're not gonna be at the corner of Park and Railroad Ave.
No, they're gonna be
in front of their building, right?
right in front of their, either to the right or the left of their entryway there.
Okay, because I had objections to starting the precedence of on-street solicitation uptown in the center, but if it's gonna be down Railroad Avenue, right in front of the building, for what, 4 hours a day, 3 days a week?
Mm-hmm.
Till October?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll have to come back at that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for your the time you took to look into it.
Thank you. Council Holmes?
Yes, I initially had concerns as well, but I think that they are really investing a lot in trying to help the community, and so they're just trying to get their word out there that they're there to help, and so I'm comfortable with this until October, then they can visit us if they need something further.
Sure. Any other questions or comments? Great. A voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
That's all the business I have this evening, and look forward to a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Great. Thank you. Council Reynolds?
Reporting for City Property and Claims Committee from the docket of July 18th, 2019. I move that in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, the city accepts the generous donation of Jeffrey DiMarzio Masonry, who has graciously agreed to donate his labor time and materials from Rust-Oleum in the amount of $9,640 to construct a replica of the Wolfenden smokestack at the Judith H. Robbins Riverfront Park.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments or questions?
No, we just went over this.
Thank you. Any other comments from anyone else? The voice vote is required. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
From the docket of July 18th, 2019, I move that in accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, the city accepts the donation of playground equipment with a value of $3,558.70 from Willett PTO to the Willett Elementary School.
Second?
Excuse me.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments? Voice vote is required. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
On the docket of July 18, 2019, I move to declare the following Attleboro Public School vehicle as surplus and available for disposition, a 2005 Chevy passenger bus, and the condition is poor.
Second?
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
No.
A roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Boyer?
Yes.
Hang on a second. Okay, here we go. Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Cobus?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
President Cooper?
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
On the docket of July 18, 2019, I move to declare the following wastewater department equipment as surplus and available for disposition. Two 1980 Mack dump trucks, and the mileage is 32,268. One's got 90,728. They're both poor condition. Oh, a 2004 Ford F-250 pickup. The mileage is 110,760, poor condition. And a Canon Image Runner 2230 copier, poor condition with 0 value.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any other questions or comments? Thank you. A roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Council Jackson.
Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Mr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus?
Yes.
Vice President Parika?
Yes.
Mr. Delissio?
Yes.
Ms. Dolan?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
President Cooper, I'm sorry.
Yes, no problem.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And that's all the business for City Property and Claims Committee, but I would like to call a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Council Holmes.
Thank you. Reporting from Ordinance Election Legislative Matters Committee, I just have one motion this evening from the docket of May 21st, 2019. I move to adopt the Board of Building Regulations and Standards Stretch Code 780 SAM-R 115.AA, which is an appendix to the Massachusetts State Building Code, and request the following amendments.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll waive the reading of the, it was read into the record at committee. Stretch code.
Okay.
And Jay, did you second? Okay. Great. Any questions, motions in order, any questions or comments, Council Holmes?
Thank you. I just, we had a really lengthy discussion during committee last week, which I really appreciated. I want to thank my committee members for also speaking, and the whole council. And then I just wanted to apologize if anybody had their hand raised and I was ignoring them or anything like that. It's never my intention to do that. I will say that I did reach out and speak to a few developers, or I'm sorry, not developers. I spoke to somebody that had mentioned that the reason why, I said, why do you think developers weren't showing up? And they said, a lot of times a developer doesn't just build in Attleboro. They've already kind of, and we did hear a little bit about this, they've already done this in other communities. And so I think it's something to, again, just keep in mind that this is happening. So unless we have developers that are just specifically in Attleboro, they've already kind of experienced this to some degree. And then I also wanted to make an amendment to make the effective date to be January 2020, January 1st, 2020.
Second.
1/1/2020. Okay. Any questions on the, or comments on the amendment? Vice President Prica.
Thank you, President Cooper. So I think that's terrific, Diana. I was happy to be able to second that view. That was going to be what my comments were. I think making the effective date January 1st of 2020, it gives time for our building department to be ready. Not that they're never prepared, but it gives them a little extra time. It also gets the contractors here, some that do specifically build here just in Attleboro, and others prepared. They may need to take some additional educational classes or things like that to be able to bridge that small gap between their current building code and the stretch code. It also provides an educational period of time for homeowners that are looking to build here. You know, they're starting the process now. They'll understand that what they should be asking for, what they could be asking for. And normally it is typical that there is a 6-month waiting period with any type of code change in any particular industry. So we would just be matching that. And it's also potential that the new building codes will be set into effect on January 1st of 2022. So it's a great way to coordinate those two things.
Excellent. Any other questions or comment on the amendment? Council Blair?
Not on the amendment. I could comment when you come to the right.
Okay.
To the
Great. All in favor of the motion as amended? No, of the amendment.
Aye.
Do we have to roll call vote that?
Roll call
So we'll do a roll call vote.
Roll call vote, yeah.
And we'll begin with Council Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Vice President Perica.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Conti.
No.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 1 nay.
Thank you. Motion passes. So now it is the motion as amended. Any questions or comments? Council Blair.
I'm not gonna draw this out, but this doesn't sit well with me. It hasn't sat well with me from the start. I think it's undue cost to a homeowner starting out. It's been brought up that it's close, but close isn't there. If it's that important, the state should put it in their building codes. I think there's outside pressure being brought on. Not that I'm against saving energy or the rest of it, but I think it comes to a point where it should be choice, not government forced. I can't, in my own conscience, vote for this, because it's sort of like a unfunded mandate. It still costs the person that's building the house money that they don't have to spend unless they want to spend. So you're taking that freedom of choice away. Too much government.
Council Cobus, Conti, and then Dolan.
I'll just try to make some quick comments. On Tuesday, a couple people had talked about one of the reasons people come to Attleboro being the services and whatnot that Attleboro provides, but overwhelmingly, the thing I hear from people for why they move to Attleboro is the affordability. Over and over again, it's Attleboro is an affordable community to live in. And I was a little disappointed in one of the speakers that came up and talked to us, talked about, well, if we enact this and we'll attract sort of different constituents coming to the city by, that appreciate a well-built house. And I was a little bit offended by that because, I grew up in the city. I appreciate that, and I appreciate that Attleboro is an affordable community. But in looking, one of my concerns is trying to keep Attleboro affordable. And so I tried to look at this from that perspective, and I don't feel it's a huge burden to people. If we're talking about maybe 50 homes being built, and I agree that the numbers are all over the place, whether it's an additional $3,000 for this or whether it's $10,000, ultimately, we're talking about potentially a 1% increase on the home being built that gets paid off but within 3 to 10 years anyway. In all of that, in order to sort of be on the right side of history and, accept the, try to do our part in fighting climate change, and it's paid off, and then the home forever is far more efficient. So in my mind, this doesn't have a negative impact on the affordability of housing in Attleboro, and that was one of my concerns. And so whether you consider it a sort of a moral decision or a strategic decision or whatnot, I just hope you'll vote yes on this with me, because I'm going to, and I'm very proud to do so.
Thank you. Any other question? Oh, Councilor Conti, I'm sorry.
So yesterday I had an interview with builder Mark Halpin of Clearwater Homes in Taunton. He has built 12 brand new homes on Saints Way, and he's building 4 homes on Bridget Way. And these are all colonials, and they're all 2-car garages, and they're all built not to the stretch code, but to the current building code. The building code that Bill McDonough was holding up last night states that the ceiling insulation in a brand new home built in 2019 has to have an R factor of 49. The walls an R factor of 21. The floor an R factor of 30, and a HERS rating of 3 in Taunton without the stretch code. And in Taunton, they're thinking of relaxing the 3 HERS rating to 5. I asked him what he thought about the stretch code, and he said, to him, it doesn't make a difference. You just pass all the costs on. I said, have you heard from people living in the houses how they like living in houses? He says, Rick, he says, see the house right there on Saints Way? 2,000 square foot colonial. Their heat bill last February was $85.
Jeez.
I don't want to tell you what my heat bill was last February. The current building code already makes new home construction incredibly energy efficient. And I feel that this is just an unneeded mandate because the homes are already so efficient. I wish that the focus was more on the 10,000 plus homes in the city of Attleboro that are older that could be brought up to a 49 insulation rating on the ceiling and a 21 on the walls and 30 on the floor. My house isn't. That's a lot of insulation. So I won't be voting for this measure because it's a state mandate that I think is oppressive government that's already too complicated and unnecessary because we have such efficient homes. And that if it was such an important thing, if it was a moral objective, then it would be imposed by the state as a law. And it's not because I'm not concerned about the climate. I'm very much concerned about the climate. But I'm even more concerned about how Attleboro treats its residents. And I would like to see Attleboro to be a more friendly family city that doesn't put in these mandates, and that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Councilor Dolan.
I don't have a lot to say. I know it's late and everything, but I absolutely will be supporting this. It's time. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, this requires a roll call vote, and we'll begin with Councilor Jackson.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
No.
Mr. Kobus.
Yes.
Vice President Perica.
Yes.
Mr. Delicio.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
No.
President Cooper.
Yes.
9 yeas, 2 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
That's all the business this evening for ordinance, election, legislative matters, and I'll call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Blair.
Thank you. Reporting for Public Safety and Emergency Management from the docket of July 18, 2019. I move to transfer $39,481.90 from account 112410000-578300 citywide reserve fund for transfer to account 1220100-532010 fire tuition and books to reimburse 17 pre-approved members of the bargaining unit for the cost of tuition and books for each of the approved courses in fire science program that they successfully completed.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
No, we just talked about it.
A roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Counselor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Vice President Parika.
Yes.
Cobus.
Yes.
Conkey.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
Yes.
President Kruger.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Excuse me, motion passes.
No other business this evening, but we'll request the committee meeting in August at the appropriate time.
Great, thank you. There is no old business. There's 2 items of new business, and the first one, I'll recognize Counselor Reynolds.
So I bring this new business tonight. I think a couple of you might remember, or all of you might, some months back, Sandcastle Estates got sold for the $13 million. And of course, I sent along a couple of articles that I thought were important and what was going to happen to some of these elderly residents and their rents and whatnot. So in the meantime, I've heard from several people from Sandcastle and Liberty Estates and Oak Hill mobile home parks, and they're all very concerned and want to do something about rent control. So I looked into it. I did share some information that I found, pros and cons, with Diana,
So,
because
just
you want me to read it first?
Read it first.
Okay, so I'll read it first. So the new business is, I move to refer the following matter to the appropriate committee for study and recommendation to establish in the city of Attleboro a mobile home manufactured homes rent control board.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any motion?
Okay,
questions?
so with all the other blah blah I just went into, I'm gonna add some little blah to that. So I did look up a lot of information that's going around locally within the state, way back from even 2017, some information. And what I shared with Councilor Holmes, because she's ordinance, the pros and cons, including other ordinances from other local towns, both that establish either a board such as this. In some of the communities, the city council or the selectmen do it, which I don't think that is actually appropriate. So I think that a board would be much better, and then we would be able to establish an ordinance where it has duties as it pertains to reviewing and implementing and making sure that there's compliance to whatever the decision is around rent control. But there's lots of information out there already. I think it's really, we have to determine if this is something in the long run the council feels would be good for this city of Attleboro. And I will say that at Sandcastle alone, at least close to 85% of the people there signed up, signed for a rent control board of some sort. Liberty Estates, the same type of thing. I don't have the numbers for Oak Hill right now, but I'd like to see us get moving on this as quickly as we can, make some decisions about it. These people are concerned, and most of them live on fixed incomes. So I think it would be nice that we have something in place that doesn't allow it to skyrocket from, let's say, $395 to $895, which right now it could happen. Okay, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
You want to just assign it?
Yeah, voice vote, or roll call vote.
We have an
Voice voice.
Just assign it though?
After we say yes, it's good.
After we
Voice
vote.
vote.
I wrote the wrong thing. I don't have my little cheat sheet, so I don't
All
know.
those in favor?
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes, and I'm going to refer that to Ordinances, Elections, and Legislative Matters Committee and the Planning Board for study and recommendation.
Excellent.
And moving right along to Vice President Parika.
Thank you, President Cooper. I have one piece of new business this evening. I move to refer to the following matter to the appropriate committee for study and recommendation to delete the following language in Ordinance 10-5.2A. South Main Street, westerly side, beginning at a point 185 feet northerly of Wall Street for a distance of 122 feet northerly.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments?
I won't muck up much more of our time. There's a few parking spots in front of Christopher Heights. It doesn't actually, it says it's restricted, but we have spots there, so it's not in compliance. So if we remove this, then we can have the parking spots. We also have only technically 2.5 parking spots there. So once this is removed, they can go in and paint the other half of the parking spot. I appreciate Councilor Waterman. Colin, we met with Madeline McNeely and the administrators of Christopher Heights because they're having some difficulty with parking. And the parking attendant keeps giving tickets when they're trying to unlodge, to drop off, some physically disabled patients or residents, and it's becoming very challenging. And we have some other things to discuss with regards to this piece of business too, because that section of road with Renaissance Station, they have some the businesses under there. They're looking to take over more spots, and so it's getting a little messy over there. But for this right now, it takes out the parking restriction and allows parking there.
Great. Any other questions or comments?
I just have one.
Yes, Councilor Jackson.
I just had this conversation, similar conversation a couple days ago with Mike Tyler, because they had called him and asked him about this whole parking thing. And do you know originally, and it must have been a different supervisor over there, that they actually asked for no parking in front, because the people like to sit out front and they can watch all the cars. Isn't that funny though? And we the council approved it. And now they have someone else new in there, and now they want the parking spots back. That's why they were blocked.
That Barry Lacasse was emphatic in sharing that information.
Oh, good.
And part of the reason for that too is their food delivery will come in there as well. The big Cisco trucks or whatever. But so now they want it. So.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments? A voice vote is required. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Motion passes. We're going to assign that to the Transportation and Traffic Committee, and would you like to also send that to the Traffic Study Commission? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any, that's it for new business. Just a quick reminder to sign the Mylars before you leave. On the 10 or 7 or 8 of however many we just did street acceptance. I lost count at this hour, but please make sure you sign them all so they can be recorded. And at this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned 10:33.
Sorry.